Hey guys, welcome to Crater Mania. I am your host, the man they call Crater, and I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. And for the first time here on the channel, I am doing a roundtable. And what better do a roundtable than talk about some wrestling? Because this weekend is going to be WrestleMania 42, and both of these guys, I'm gonna have on the show tonight as my guests. You've seen them before on my How I Got Into Wrestling show here on the channel, where I interviewed them both. And these two guys, I enjoy talking about wrestling almost more than anybody else that I talk wrestling with. So glad to have them here on the show tonight. Let me go ahead and introduce my first guest here on the show. This is going to be the Cemetery Man from Grande's Graveyard. This is John Grande. How's it going, man?
Crater, what's going on, brother? Thank you so much again for having me back onto the show. And I know how I got into wrestling episodes have been running wild, brother, just like Crater Mania. And tonight you were so cool to have me and Marq on to discuss WrestleMania 42 predictions. So I was like, dude, I can't miss this. I wouldn't miss this for the world. So thank you for having me on, and I'm always happy to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on, man. And I appreciate like I said, me and you, we kind of talk almost daily anyway, and messages and stuff and about wrestling. So, I mean, you were one of the first people I thought I want to do this roundtable. So I got to have John on here, and you were my first guest on the channel. So glad to have you back. But now to introduce my second guest on the show, like I said, you know him from deadpit.com's Friday Night Lives. You know him from his own channel, where he also does videos with Rambo Raff. And here he is, the Stuntman himself.
I'm a stuntman, motherfucker stuntman, motherfucker stuntman. I'm the man with the cash. I'm a stuntman,
Stuntman Marq.
Motherfucker stuntman.
That never gets old. What's going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going, man? Glad to have you here, man.
Oh, thanks for having me back on. It was a pleasure last time, so I'm looking forward to talking some more wrestling with you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, and right now, we're almost we're like 2 or 3 days away from WrestleMania 42. And this has really been an interesting one this year. There's a lot of factors that have come into play for the storylines going into WrestleMania this year. And that's before we get into the show and talking about WrestleMania itself. I wanted to discuss with you guys about just a lot of the people that are not a part of this show. I mean, if you look at the people who are either injured or just inactive for whatever reason right now, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Kevin Owens, Chelsea Green, Sheamus, just amongst others. I mean, some of them that are out, I can understand, they have reasons that they've been out for quite some time now. But Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, I mean, I think it's obvious to most fans who follow WWE that those guys were supposed to be a part of this WrestleMania. So what do you guys thought? And John, I guess we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it kind of reminds me of about a decade ago, WrestleMania 32. They had a similar issue where so many of their top talent at that time were injured or hurt or whatever, and they didn't make the card. And thus, you kind of had a lot of, yin-yanging around with the WrestleMania card and the plans. We planned for this, but we went with that. And that's kind of what this year feels like, too. And I don't know, I'm bummed that, I got the WrestleMania exclusive Io Sky shirt. She's not even on the card. I was so, sad about that. But, no Braun Breaker, no Bronson Reed, who I'm sure would have been plan B for Seth Rollins, and now they're at plan Gunther, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know. Sometimes you can kind of salvage a situation like this, and what we didn't plan for ends up working out. And I'm hoping this weekend ends up being a situation like that. But what are your thoughts, Marq?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like they are trying to make the best out of a bad situation. All the injuries have more than affected the card. I'm looking forward to Gunther Seth just because those guys are both really good workers. I really wanted so bad to see Braun Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's just been shining and hitting it out of the park with everything they give him. And I hate to do this, but Crater, when you brought up the people that are missing, I gotta talk about Aleister Black, because here's a guy whose one of his last victories was over Randy Orton, who's the number one contender for the championship. And if you look at it that way as well, on the flip side, that was Orton's last loss. So maybe he might play into the match some way.
Well,
I just want to see him there. Like, I mean, of course, a match would be preferred, but hell, like that's gotta suck. You know what I mean? Like, especially for him, having, everything that happened with him leaving the company, then coming back, and way he's been booked so far, and then now he's not even on the card.
yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned him, Mark, because so those first names that I mentioned, like, as you know, those are either injured or they're out of action for whatever reason. But like, I think what hurts more is guys like that, like you mentioned, Aleister Black, and John mentioned, EO Sky, of course, because I also have this list of people who are actually still actively wrestling in the WWE and have been left off the card. And a lot of them are more surprising than others, like Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton and Carmelo Hayes, the tag champs, Damian Priest and R-Truth, Raquel and Roxanne from the Judgment Day, and yeah, of course, Aleister Black. But Mark, when you mention that, you think about Aleister Black might be involved in that match. I've kind of been thinking that same thing, especially after this past Friday's SmackDown. If you notice in the background of several shots when, it's like Jelly Roll is talking to Pat McAfee, or when Pat McAfee was talking to Nick Aldis, or I think there's one where Cody's out there as well, and you see in all those shots, Aleister Black is in the background, like watching on.
Yeah.
So like, they wouldn't just randomly do that. So, I
Exactly.
mean, there's got to be more to it than that. So, I think you have something there when you say that he might be involved in that match.
Sure hope so.
So I guess we can go ahead and jump right in, because there's a lot to talk about. There's right now, I mean, I'm guessing this is like the final set of matches, but there's 13 matches on the card at WrestleMania. And I guess how we'll do it is we'll just go over the build a little bit, talk about our opinions on how they've done it, how they've done it so far, and then at the end of each match we'll just kind of give our predictions and our winners for those matches and so far. We'll just kind of wing it, but start with this first match, and I'm assuming this will be the first match of night one. Is the 6-man tag between the Usos and LA Knight versus Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and I Show Speed. So John, let's hear your opinions on the build up and what they've done so far regarding this match.
This is a weird one, because you look at where the people in the babyface team were last year. I mean, Jey Uso's winning the world title at WrestleMania, making Gunther tap out, and LA Knight. I mean, we've all wanted LA Knight to be in the big profile match WrestleMania for the longest time, and instead their opening match night one against two YouTube personalities. So it's kind of odd. I don't want to say it's how the mighty have fallen, but it's something along those lines. I just don't know quite what it is. I mean, the build has been kind of comedic, right? Where Danhausen is cursed I Show Speed, and I Show Speed's been thrown into the match, and they're doing this whole thing where they're training him up and stuff like that, doing like these fun Rocky vignettes, which I think have been kind of fun. And then, they've also had LA Knight, I think, was on I Show Speed's, channel and threw him at the camera. That was kind of a funny. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Like, I don't know. I mean, as far as the build goes, it feels rather comedic, rather like, let's just start the crowd off kind of in a fun match. Let's get them, yeeting up and stuff. I think the babyface team are going to win for sure here. I got the Usos and LA Knight. Something with the Danhausen curse will cost, I think, the team YouTube, as I'm calling them.
Yeah. What about you, Mark?
I was thinking the same thing. The curse is going to play into it. It hasn't been my favorite build going into Mania, but I mean, they're putting these guys on the card. I guess I got to take what I can get with this match. I just don't really see much. Like, it's something that's literally just built for the show, and I can't see it playing into anything after. So yeah, it's just a weird one, but Grande's probably right. It's just a fun opener for the crowd,
Oh yeah, and I definitely think you're right. Is that I don't see them going any further with this angle past Mania, because I don't know if this is the case or not, but I feel like the plan has been this 6-man tag for a while now. I feel like I Show Speed's spot was supposed to be Bronson Reed, because I mean, and I mentioned this on the show I did the other night. When I was breaking down all these matches, um, LA Knight has been feuding with the Vision since June of last year. I mean,
Mhm.
that's that's a long fucking time, and if you look back in December, he was taken out by Bronson Reed. Um, so I think that's been the plan for a while, is either if they were just going to do a one-on-one match between Bronson Reed and LA Knight, or if this 6-man tag thing was, the plan all along. But where Bronson couldn't do it, obviously they had to put someone in there. And why not I Show Speed? I mean, because it kind of makes sense. He's friends with Logan Paul. He's and he's been in the WWE before. He had that spot in the Rumble where he got taken out by Braun Breaker.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I don't know what it is. I mean, I haven't really ever watched that guy's stuff on YouTube or followed him in any way other than, outside of WWE stuff. But I oddly find that guy entertaining. And just like his facial reactions are gold sometimes.
Didn't he do the spot a couple WrestleManias ago where he was in the like the bottle that Logan
The
Paul
prime bottle,
Yeah.
he
yeah.
was in the
Was-
prime
was that
bottle and
him
Randy
or-
Orton RKO'd him.
I couldn't remember if that was him or if that was the other guy that's on Logan's channel sometimes. What's his name?
I'm not
You-
sure of the other guy's name, but it was definitely Speed.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I remember there's another guy that's been in WWE as well that did the spot with Logan Paul, but I couldn't remember if it was him or Speed that was inside the bottle costume there. But
Do you think in any way that them pulling the I Show Speed card to add him to this match is a desperation shot because their ticket sales have been so low to say like, hey, this guy has a ton of views on YouTube. We have Logan Paul, now we have another YouTube. Like, is that a desperation throw from them? Is that sort of a Hail Mary, or is it just something like, hey, you know what, we have a spot open, why not I Show Speed?
I think that's part of it. I mean, I think there's a lot of celebrity involvement this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I mentioned that real quick. I mean, aside from I Show Speed in this match, there's Jelly Roll, there's Pat McAfee, there's Little Yachty. It was just announced today that Joe Jonas is going to be doing the national anthem on night 2.
Wow.
So, and honestly, I don't think it's just because I think there's going to be more celebrity involvement going forward. Just because I mean, I think it's what it really kind of brings in, like you said, it makes more ticket sales. It brings in more, not people that are, that would usually watch wrestling or WWE or anything. It might bring them in, bring in new fans. So, I mean, and the WWE has done this for years. They have had, celebrities involved in, especially WrestleMania, dating back always since the first WrestleMania with guys, like Cyndi Lauper, Liberace, and Muhammad Ali, and it just kind of went, like that almost every WrestleMania. So I think that might be kind of being evolving out a little bit with and honestly, and I was mentioning this to CK from Dead Pit earlier, but I would not be surprised if Jelly Roll, if Randy Orton wins the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, we will see a match for the WWE Championship between Jelly Roll and Randy Orton on either like a SmackDown or Backlash or something. Like, I don't put it past them. I really don't at this point. But getting back to this match that we're talking about, though, like I love the involvement of Danhausen as well, because like you guys mentioned, he did the curse on Speed, and I think that's going to come into play at some point as well. And it just I know. I think there's going to be Danhausen's going to be featured a lot this weekend, especially with because they announced that the Miz is hosting the Hall of Fame with Michael Cole. So like with the Miz's involvement with the Hall of Fame, Danhausen's probably going to make an appearance. Um, but I guess we'll get into like, do you guys have any kind of predictions and stuff will happen within this match, or just predictions of your winners? And I guess we can start with you, John.
I would say, yeah, like I said, Team Babyface will win. The Usos and LA Knight, and I think the curse will somehow play into it. And also, they've been doing this thing where IShowSpeed doesn't seem to want to be with Logan and Theory, so maybe that he turns babyface at the end of the match, because as all of us are kind of agreed that they're not going to really move forward. This is not a feud that's going to be at Backlash, like, so maybe we get a babyface turn from IShowSpeed and the curse is broken at WrestleMania. That would be my like modest prediction.
I would think that they would want to protect the tag champs as much as possible. If they're not going to get the victory, like just have Speed take the pin. Like,
yes,
it's the easy way out. So I mean, that's kind of all I think will happen. There'll probably be some cool spots with Logan and Speed and stuff, but nothing that's going to blow me away, I don't think.
Yeah, and John, you were talking about that vignette they did where it shows Speed training with Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And I can't remember who I mentioned this to, but I was it might have been you, John. I can't remember, but like it's funny to me that just in that training vignette with Speed, he looked better training in that ring than what Jey Uso has worked in the past year.
It's pretty true.
So I was like, oh no, like, and that's another thing I can mention. It's like, I mean, the downfall of Jey Uso is
that's a whole video of itself.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, but a lot of that stuff, I don't know. I don't want to say that he brought it on himself, but in a way, he kind of did too. But I'm with both of you guys. I think that the Usos and LA Knight, they will win this match, and then it's nothing that's going to go forward, and Speed. This is kind of just, he may do future appearances in other like spots or matches or something, but like this feud, no, I think something's going to happen with either he takes a pin or something, like he turns face or something like that. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward to the next match, and this next match is one of my most anticipated matches on the entire WrestleMania card. And it's the unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. And I really have enjoyed this build. I mean, it feels like, I don't feel like it has that big fight feel like Oba and Brock does. But at the same time, I mean, these guys have been feuding for since like last October, when Jacob was taken off TV for a while, and then he showed back up in January to interfere in the match between Drew and Cody, which ended up costing Cody the championship. And I think there was a rumor there for a while too that there was going to be a fatal 4-way match for the WWE championship at WrestleMania between Drew and Jacob and Cody and Randy. But thankfully, and I'm just saying that, in my personal opinion, thankfully that didn't happen, because I've just never been a big fan of fatal 4-way matches, main eventing WrestleMania. I feel like WrestleMania is an event that's designed to just pay off a one-on-one feuds. I mean, if you look back at WrestleMania 2000, the fatal 4-way match, I mean, it had great names in it: Rock, Triple H, Mick Foley, and Big Show. But was it a great match? I mean, I don't really think so. But I mean, so what are your guys? Let's start with you, John. What are your guys' thoughts on Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu?
I'm very excited for this match as well. Obviously, it does kind of feel like round 2 for Drew, two WrestleManias in a row. Last year, it was him and Priest in a street fight. But this match has way more heat, and I'm way more into Fatu as a talent. And I think this is going to be a big, big moment for him, like a big win. And I think these two guys will do some crazy stuff. Like unsanctioned match, I think the gloves are truly off like they should be. And I think that this is a great way to make Jacob Fatu get that next level win to kind of step up and step closer to the the title picture. I know Drew, it's like rumored he's going to go off and shoot some films and stuff like that. And his whole story arc doesn't make sense to really stay. Like he cut the great promo of I quit WWE, and then only to come out later in the night to get some heat on Fatu. I like the stuff with him and Aldis. I think that's money. I actually think if they ever do a match with Nick Aldis, which I feel like we've been talking about for a while now, and it's not happened. If they do it, it's got to be Aldis. And I know a lot of people want Aldis and Randy. No, like I want Aldis and Drew McIntyre, like last man standing or something like that. I think this would be a good match. I don't know. I got Fatu easy, though. I think Fatu is one of the easier picks this weekend for me. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at it that way and Drew's not going to be around, then it makes sense to give Fatu like the extra push and give him the victory. It sucks that Drew's going to have to take another loss like this close after losing the championship and everything. Like, I just want so badly for Drew to stay, in the main event picture and be one of the top guys. But and maybe he'll secure a spot once he comes back. Hopefully, he's not gone too long. But yeah, Fatu's over. I'm really looking forward to like the shit they're gonna do. I just know it's just gonna get crazy. It's gonna get pretty wild. And the one thing that I have like a gripe with the match is the fact that they're calling it unsanctioned. If you're going to have a referee there and you're gonna do the whole 3 count and do a submission thing as well, like where that counts as you could tap out. Like to me, that doesn't really fit the feel of an unsanctioned match. To me, it should just be win by knockout or something, like whoever's out at the end, and have it be like a backstage brawl kind of thing, which Crater, we talked about that briefly. Like it should be something like that. It just seems to fit more in line with the way everything's going. And it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. Like, at least to me, if one of them got knocked out, because they're both badasses, and kind of protect either guy a little bit, depending on who might go over. But either way, I think it'll be fun. I hope it doesn't go too long, because it's not the kind of thing that needs like 30 minutes or anything like that,
So just to touch on that, what you said, Mark, do you think that this, with the whole unsanctioned thing, like with the referee being there, do you think this would have worked better as like one of those kind of cinematic segments that they've done in the past?
Not necessarily, just because everything that they've tried to do with all the build and stuff, like them falling off that railing or whatever they did, like on SmackDown, and all the stuff has been so much more gritty and realistic feeling. I think a cinematic match just wouldn't fit with everything they've done so far.
And yeah, I gotta mention, because you said something about them falling off that tower or whatever structure that it was on that, and that was the March 20th SmackDown. I remember talking to you, John, while that SmackDown was going on. I was like, this is the best SmackDown that I've seen in a long time, and I still think that. I think that's the best SmackDown I have seen in so long, just because how everything was built around that night, especially the Jacob and Drew stuff. Like, because they were supposed to have had a match that night, because it was announced like the week before, and then as soon as the show opens, like, Jacob's arriving, Drew ambushes him out in the parking lot, and they're just brawling all throughout the night. And then it just ends like on this kind of cliffhanger, for it kind of reminded me, like, do you remember years ago when I think Kurt Angle was like the general manager of SmackDown.
And Big Show like killed him.
Big Show choke slams him like up off like the second floor, and then you just see like Kurt's body just mangled.
His leg was like,
yeah. That's what it reminded me of, because like that kind of cliffhanger ending, like, because you just see them like both fall off that tower, and just you don't see where they land or anything, because there's like a fence there or something, and then SmackDown just goes off the air. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. I mean, like, so I've really enjoyed this build, and I think I'm really not sure. Initially I want to say that Jacob is going to win this match, and they're going to push him forward into the title picture and everything, but I really don't know. I think this match could go either way. But thinking about what you guys said about Drew, taking time off to go, because he's going to be like a Highlander movie. Do you guys know if that's going to be like a prominent role in the movie, or if it's just kind of like a if it's going to be a quick side character or something. You
I'm
guys
not
heard anything
sure.
about that?
I'm not sure either. I would guess not a big part, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how much he's filming he's going to be doing for that. Because if he does that, I don't know how much time he would have to take off for WWE for that. But I guess I'm leaning more towards Jacob winning this match because it just would help him because he's had some matches here and there, since he made his return. He just had a really cool match this past SmackDown with Tama Tonga when that's when Drew comes out and just beats the absolute shit out of him. And it's funny, because it's happened right after the pipe bomb from Punk, where he was talking about he was referencing the feud between Roman and Baron Corbin with the dog food stuff. Because during that feud, like Roman was like chained up around the ring post on the outside. And that's the same kind of like image or visual you've seen with Jacob being chained up around the ring post on the outside. And so I don't know if that they added that in there because of what Punk said to kind of reference that, or if that was something they had planned a while. But I enjoyed it. I thought it's been a fantastic build into this match, and like you guys said, it's going to be absolute chaos. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I guess you guys gave your predictions, or you guys both think that Jacob is going to win this as well?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, and I like I said, that's one of my most anticipated matches going into Mania, so can't wait for that one. So the next one we have on the card, and this next one is probably my least anticipated match for Mania. And this is the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way between Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus the Bellas versus Nia Jax and Lash Legend. So
I feel the same way. Don't feel bad.
yeah, I mean, a lot of these gals, I'm a fan of them, but I feel like they kind of got the short end of the stick with this. This was just really thrown together real quick because Alexa and Charlotte have kind of been feuding since towards the end of last year with Nia Jax and Lash Legend, but I feel like the Bellas are kind of shoehorned into this match. And you have Bayley and Lyra. I feel like they were just kind of thrown in there too because Bayley pretty much got fucked over last year, and she didn't have a match. So I don't know, and just all the segments that they've been doing with these teams going into the match is just very it's very spontaneous, and it's just kind of they're all over the place. It's just like, oh, just go out there and brawl. That's all you guys need. Just don't need to tell a story here. You guys just need to fucking brawl every week, and just and then they're just kind of having like random matches because they're all in like I think Lyra just had a match with Charlotte. And they're just kind of doing that thing, but they're not really telling any kind of story here other than just all these women want the tag team titles. So John, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm not hyped for this at all either. And this screams like let's get everybody on the card type of match. That's why it's a fatal 4-way. And I don't know, like to me, I look at this match and I'm more so looking forward to, I think this is a safe way to get the belts off of Nia and Lash. So Lash can kind of have a singles push. And I would say if I could bet money on it, I would say Lash Legend will be the queen of the ring. It seems like they are high on her and she's tremendous, has great size. And the way she performed in that Royal Rumble, eliminating some of the biggest, like she eliminated Charlotte, she eliminated Io Sky, she eliminated some of the biggest names in that Rumble. So I would think this is the safe way to kind of move on from them being tag champs. They can kind of break apart. Lash can kind of move on. So that's where I look at this match, at least from a moving forward standpoint. But as far as picking a winner, I'm with you. I think after screwing Bailey last year, that they kind of owe her one. That was really wrong. And I would like to see her and Lyra get it. Like I'm a big Lyra fan. I went to SummerSlam. I went to Night 2 SummerSlam this year in MetLife. And man, they had the top heel. That New York, New Jersey crowd booed Lyra Valkyria out of the building. I was like, holy cow. I didn't realize that she was so hated. Like, I like her. I think she's great. I think she's pretty. I think she's good in the ring. I guess she has some character stuff to work on, but I don't know. I'd like to see this moment for her and Bailey. The Bellas, I don't get. I've heard some people say, "Oh, the Bellas never got to be tag champs, so maybe they want."
Cares?
That would suck. I would really. Everyone would just be like, "Really?" If that happens, and then Charlotte and Alexa, I think they just finally have to break up. Maybe they break up here. Maybe one costs the other, and they finally do the singles feud. That would be my prediction. I would say one of those costs the other, and maybe Bailey and Lyra walk out champs.
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, because of what happened with Bailey, like she needs something going forward. I hate that they'd have to like just put a title on somebody for people to pay more attention, but I mean that's kind of their own doing with the very, very lazy writing and booking of all these teams.
Yeah.
I think the Bella Twins will probably get it, but I don't think Mania is the right spot to do it. They'll be around, unfortunately, for a while, so they could always put the tag titles on them at SummerSlam or something. As far as what every team does after this, man, like I like Lash, but the Nia thing, like that just like they look good together. Like on paper, it's fine, but them together, I kind of would rather see Lash do her own thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have to feud right away. Nia could just be like the supporting, best friend type character to her, I guess. As far as Charlotte goes, I've been so stale on Charlotte for years. I don't know anything else that they could do for her because she's done like everything. You know what I mean? This is one of those situations where it's not really necessarily her fault because what is she going to do? Say no? Yeah, I don't want to have this 8th title reign. So they're kind of in a rough spot with her and Alexa. It sucks to break everybody up when there's just nothing else to do with them booking wise, but that's probably where it's going to go. And I wouldn't be that upset by it. They do need to freshen up Bliss because she's kind of just running in place with, Charlotte. So I don't know, man. Like I'm not into this match. Is it straight up just fatal 4-way or is it like fatal 4-way elimination?
I think it's straight up.
I think it's just fatal 4-way. Yeah, they haven't mentioned anything about elimination for it. So I feel like that would probably work better if they did. But
yeah, I think elimination will work better. Having all 4 of those teams in there, it's creating more of an opportunity to have a clusterfuck when you don't need to have one. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I see this comment, and I definitely agree with this. So, Miss C, I 10 says Charlotte Flair works best as a heel, in my opinion. Yeah, 100%. And I think, like John said, we might see some friction there between Charlotte and Alexa because I think that it's way overdue to split them up. I feel like both of those girls work better in singles competition. It was really odd to put them together as a tag team to begin with. And I think the only reason they did that is because when Charlotte first came back, they were booing the shit out of her. And like she was trying to like play babyface and all this, and they were just booing the shit. Like, they were brutal to her.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, okay, we need to put you with somebody that's over already and the fans love, and we'll see if we can get the fans back on your side. Now that leads me to the Lyra stuff too, like how, John, you were talking about how the fans at SummerSlam booed the shit out of her. Man, like I wasn't crazy about Lyra Valkyria until I watched WWE Unreal and kind of seen a whole other side to her on that show. And like she's someone, at least the way they portray her in the show, that she really wants it, man. Like she really genuinely loves wrestling, and just there's a lot of emotion that comes out from her on that show, and it just makes me appreciate her more as a worker now. So whenever I do get to see her, working on TV, I love it. I'm a big fan of hers now, and it's still odd to me because that the relationship between her and the fans is still kind of awkward if you listen to reactions and just how fans they're either not very vocal during her matches at all, or if they are, it's if they're booing her. So it's kind of heartbreaking, especially seeing how much she does love wrestling and wants to be there and wants to be successful. So um, whereas a lot of these girls, I'm sure they are the same way, but there's some here or there that just are just in this for the money, don't really care about like the legacy they build as a wrestler or anything. There's been like I don't know, I can't name anyone right off that's like that, but there's been people like that that's come into the business with that mentality. Um, and Lyra's not it, man. Like she's the real deal. So I really hope to see them do something more with her in the future. The Bellas, again, like I said, I just feel like they were friggin' shoehorned into this match. They're coming across with this kind of like, oh, we're in this because we just have to prove that we still got it type of thing. Um, I don't think that's it. I just think, that they're just trying to just, brush their egos even more. Because I've never been a fan of the Bellas. I'll just be honest with you guys. I just feel like, because they were kind of the epitome of that whole divas like era of WWE, and once that kind of transitioned into the women's revolution with the four horsewomen, Charlotte and Becky and Sasha and Bailey, and then so forth, it was like a breath of fresh air, seeing all of that kind of like change for the better. So when the Bellas came back, man, I was like, fuck. I'm like, this does not need to happen. But and as far as Nia and Lash, yeah, I think that they need to split them up too. And Lash, she's got a lot of potential, man, to be big in the WWE. And her I guess is her husband, boyfriend, whatever, Trick Williams. They're both destined for success. So I think, but my ultimately, if I had to choose a winner for this, uh, well, first of all, I don't care who wins. I mean, I don't. But like, um, but if I had to choose one, it'll probably be Bailey and Lyra, just because you know they did Bailey dirty last year.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so I guess I mean, as far as it goes from there, I guess we'll just have to see once that match happens. But now moving on to this next one. This next one is an interesting one because they just started the build for this like 2 weeks ago. And it's really neither one of their one's fault. I mean, and this is Seth Rollins versus Gunther. With Seth, I think the obvious plan was to put him and Braun Breaker together. I mean, and that started back at the Rumble when Braun was attacked by this masked man, and that's another thing. I'm done with this masked man bullshit because I hated that from the get go, and then and now they've just kind of, it seems like they've dropped that stuff altogether now since Gunther and Seth started working together. But yeah, Braun was taken out by the masked man and then quickly eliminated by Obafemi at the Rumble. And ironically, the following Raw, Braun got injured that night. I mean, I think there's been hopes from a lot of people. I think a lot of people, I think me and you, John, have kind of talked about this. Is Braun going to make it back in time for WrestleMania? What are they going to do? But unfortunately, I don't think that's, that they knew that wasn't going to be the case. So they said, well, we got to have Seth work with someone else. And look at Gunther. Of course, Gunther didn't have anyone to work with. I mean, I think the plan from what I seen was him and Rey Mysterio
Right.
for WrestleMania, and but with the ongoing story with Gunther being the career killer, the only way that would have worked if Ray's career was on the line. And I think Ray was in disagreement with that. Ray was like, well, no, if I, have to retire, and my last match is going to be against Dom. And which I think is, and I'm glad that Ray has stuck to his guns on that. I
Same
think
here.
that's the best way for Ray to end his career is against Dom, in my opinion. And I think, and Ray said he wants it to happen in Mexico. So, but so this was kind of thrown together last minute, Seth and Gunther, and the reasoning behind it is still kind of vague and mysterious a bit. I mean, they kind of addressed it a little bit this past Monday on Raw. But it's just kind of, and I think what was it? Gunther's reasoning was just because he's just, tired of Seth acting like he's the best and he's, or whatever, something like that. I mean, but so it's just, like I said, it just feels really thrown together. But ultimately, I think this is going to be a fantastic match because both these guys are excellent workers, excellent entertainers. So, John, what's your thoughts?
I could agree completely with you. I think this has sneaky potential to be the match of the weekend. And it's funny because, again, thrown together 2 weeks of build. A lot of people asking reasons. So why does Gunther want to help Heyman? And I do think there are reasons for that we'll find out down the road. But I think that, you believe it or not, some of the best matches ever at WrestleMania were thrown together. Like Brett and Stone Cold was thrown together. That was not the plan to do that match, and then that becomes like one of the all-time great WrestleMania matches.
Yeah, it really was.
And like I'm not saying like this is going to be one of the all-time great WrestleMania matches, but I do think this could be the match of the weekend because again, both those guys can go. I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember ever seeing them work a match together. Maybe I'm. Okay,
no,
I don't ever.
They've kind of had those guys apart for a while now, so it's really odd to see this. Cool,
which I'm thrilled because again, it's not something we've seen to death. It's not part 37, right? Like it's at least something that we haven't seen before, so that kind of excites me. As far as what they'll do for who goes over, I think Gunther has to win. I sort of hate how they book Gunther. The past couple WrestleManias loses to Sami Zayn clean for the IC belt, and then last year loses to Jey Uso, taps out to Jey Uso clean.
Yeah,
for the
taps out to Jey Uso.
Like my guy needs a WrestleMania win. I do not care if it's against the hot dog vendor in the 8th row, man. He needs to win a match at WrestleMania. Oh, yeah. So I would say, please let Gunther win. I mean, if not, it just makes no sense, man. You're unbeatable career killer, and you can't be Sami Zayn. Like really, like I don't know. Right. No disrespect to Sami. It just they book Gunther rather oddly, in my opinion. A lot of people saying they think Braun's going to cost Seth the match. I would personally hate that. Gunther doesn't need. Like Gunther should go over adamantly to me, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. I would be happy to see Braun back, but like I'd rather see just. Braun comes back the next night and spears the hell out of Seth again or something. I don't want him to cost him the match, but I think Gunther will probably go over here.
Yeah, I mean that's almost like that just has to happen, right? I mean,
right.
You have all this momentum with him only for him to lose it all with another loss at WrestleMania. That would be insane. So he has to go over. Seth's not going to lose anything by losing his first match back. He'll be totally fine. I mean, he's still Seth Rollins after all.
Exactly.
As far as like the reasoning for the match and everything, I would almost rather they just not include all the stuff that they did on this past Raw because Gunther says like it's personal and he's tired of seeing Seth proclaim he's the best. But I'm like, doesn't Punk say that? Like that's on a t-shirt for Punk, right? And Punk has the title that he took from you. Why aren't you going after him? So like when he said that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But again, they're trying to give some reasoning behind the match. I guess I'll take it, whatever. As far as his favor from Heyman, he talked about that very, very briefly on Raw. And it's like, while I like the prospect of that, I love Heyman. Gunther's amazing. Does he need Heyman? Not necessarily, but it could be something fresh for him. We'll see where it goes. But I just don't want that to turn into a reoccurring thing where every heel's going to like bully Heyman for a title shot or something, you know? That's going to get stale really quick if they keep
Yeah, and it
doing
feels
that.
like they want to do that. Like they did that last year with the whole Punk. Like I want you in my corner. I
Yeah.
do think it's probably setting up for the inevitable Brock versus Gunther at SummerSlam in Minnesota. Like that's what it feels like the
Mm.
favor's going to be.
Yeah.
I helped you get rid of Seth. Now you give me Brock's career, on the line. Like it just,
Yeah.
I don't know, that part of it. I'm kind of like, I'm not a big fan of the I end your career gimmick. Like it just doesn't really do it for me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it has a shelf life. There's only so many superstars that are going to be retiring. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it would really suck if the person that he beats comes back in 2 months. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I love how Rey Mysterio, right, the next week was like, all right, I'm in the ladder match.
yeah,
and I don't foresee the whole career killer going past this year. Also, I think if they may end it and that at SummerSlam, and that's exactly what I was thinking. What you said, John. Like I've been thinking it for a while. Like about Brock and Gunther. With when they announced SummerSlam in Minneapolis, Brock pretty much is getting towards the end of his career, and I think that's probably the best place for him to end his career is in his hometown. Um, and with the whole career killer thing that Gunther's been doing, it just makes sense. And I feel like they had that plan for a while that they're going to
Yes.
do Brock and Gunther, and that's why like when it just kind of worked out, and they did their little WWE magic, when they put Seth and Gunther together, and like, oh, okay, well, Heyman is involved in this, so let's kind of tie this together with a bow between Gunther and Heyman, where he owes him a favor, and like you said, I've been thinking that as well. That favor is going to be to have a career-ending match against Brock at SummerSlam. Um, Now, as far as what I think about the involvement of Braun Breaker in this match, I think it's going to happen. I'm with you. I don't want it to happen because I feel like they could just have a match where one of them wins clean, or even if they don't win clean, maybe Heyman might get involved somehow. But Braun, I would do the same thing if I were booking WWE or whatever. I would just wait till the Raw after Mania to have, because Braun, from what I understand, he's cleared now. He's medically cleared.
Hmm.
And so just unfortunately he was medically cleared after the announcement of the match between Seth and Gunther was going to happen at Mania. Um, so he definitely could. I mean, it's very possible that they will have him get involved in the match. I don't really care to see that. I'd rather see him on Raw after Mania just attack Seth or something, because this Gunther Seth feud is not going to go any further. Once Mania's done. I mean, they might meet later on down the road or something. But I mean, as far as this current feud, it ends at Mania, I think. But yeah, I think Gunther wins this match. I think he wins just to kind of to progress that kind of story that he's doing as the career killer, and it will make him look stronger if they do go with that match at SummerSlam between him and Brock. Um, Honestly, if I was booking Gunther, I would not have him lose a single match between Mania and SummerSlam if that's their plan. But that's nor here or there.
I was gonna say, now I want to talk about Brock and Oba. What a
We'll get
transition.
there. We're
Yeah.
almost there. But before we get there, we have two more matches on night one. So this next one also, like, I've weirdly like enjoyed the feud between these two, but it at the same time it's like it kind of feels a little thrown together at some points, and that's the WWE Women's World Championship match between Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. And just that music video that we saw this past Monday just kind of like makes it even more weird in a way. And I don't know if you guys seen where Liv was on ESPN today.
No.
But like it's strange because she didn't look like this when she was on Raw when she got in that altercation with Stephanie. But like from where she took that headbutt to Roxanne, she was on ESPN today, and maybe they just had like a lot of makeup on her on Raw or something. But in the video that I watched earlier where she was on ESPN today, she both her eyes are blacked. She has a huge like purple knot still on her forehead. And I was like, that wasn't that's not what she looked like on Raw.
Hmm.
So I'm just assuming maybe they had some really good makeup on her. And maybe that's what they're going to do at WrestleMania as well, because like she looks pretty fucked up right now, based off what I saw today. Um, but I mean, I'm in, I'm looking forward to this match, but but when I said it's kind of had a weird thrown together build up, and John, you've mentioned this to me in the past couple weeks, but it feels like at times they're using Stephanie as the heel
Yeah.
and Liv like, as a more sympathetic baby face. But then like they'll do that one week, and then the next week, like Liv talking all this shit and stuff, and like being like because she's that bitch, not Jade Cargill that bitch, but just Liv is also that bitch as well. But and they're just it's very strange. So what are your thoughts on it, John?
This may be unpopular. I may be on an island on my own talking to a volleyball. I don't know, but like I feel like this has been the worst build. I don't like the writing to this build at all. Like I really don't. I really like Stephanie as a wrestler. I think Liv has gotten so much better over the years. Like from the Riot Squad, Liv Morgan that used to with the blue Jolly Ranchers and stick her tongue out people, now to a legitimate, like it feels like she's earned this spot, right? I just don't feel the heat here. I know a lot of people say the past couple weeks they got it right. I just don't feel this match at all. Like, I don't think Stephanie is as over on the main roster as she should be. Like, she felt like a big deal in NXT, and I thought she was going to be one of the biggest stars. They rushed her up. They got the title off her, put it on JC Jane really quick. I was like, oh my God, like step to the moon, man. And I felt like we're really going to be like, holy shit, this is the next star. And I don't know about you two, but like, do the crowd really, they don't really seem to care. Like she doesn't seem too over for a world champion of several months. And I also think everything she's doing feels very heelish, like tack Liv from behind, say, you can't beat me. You have no chance. You need this, that, and the other. Like, and then Liv, your mom is garbage. Like, what? What is this, elementary school? Like, I'm going to call your mom garbage in another language. How dare you? And then probably the best thing in the feud, it shouldn't have happened that they clacked heads with Roxanne and Liv. Holy shit, man. That was one of the most brutal things I've seen in a long time. But I don't know, man. I do not give a shit. Like, I really don't. I'm sure they'll have a good match, and I think Liv will win the title. But, man, like, I don't know. I just think this is a mess. This is bad writing 101 to me, but I think I'm alone on that.
No, you're not alone. I've thought that the entire time that she's been the champion. They have not given her anything compelling. Not one storyline has been must see for Stephanie. And all the momentum she had coming up, I'm like, okay, she gets the title. Let's see where this goes. And it doesn't. She's just got the strap and like there's nothing, you know what I mean? She's just on Raw. And I mean, while I would like her to keep it just so maybe they could semi hit a reset button on like her trajectory going forward, I think that in their minds, it's Liv's time again to have it. And Stephanie didn't work and it's her fault, but really it's their fault. Like so many other people in the company, like they didn't write anything great for her. I think they gave her the title. They're like, all right, go out and have good matches and just we'll fill in the rest as we go along. And that's the worst way to book. And that's how she's been booked. And now we are where we are because of it. So, I mean, I don't have any real major stakes in this match at all. If Liv gets it, fine. I think she's done great character work as a character for sure. She's vastly improved. But this I don't care, and I want to because I like both people in the match. Yeah. But
I'm the same boat. Yeah. I feel bad that I'm not as invested as I am. And like, let me ask you this too, because I know you talk about how the machine behind her maybe is what failed her, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. A lot of things I hear about, not even just Stephanie, but Julia, but an Io Sky, like that they always kind of point to, the language barrier. But my whole defense of that is it's like, but Stephanie was over in NXT. Like you got to understand, like Booker T, selling the whatever move she does,
Devil's Kiss.
Devil's Kiss. Like that was must-see TV. I was like, holy shit, man. Like, it made me want to watch NXT every night just to see that spot, just to see Booker go crazy in the crowd. Like, I don't know. Is it a language barrier? Am I just ignorant to it? Like, because to me, it just seems like they don't have faith, or they don't write characters like that well, or maybe they should get like a mouthpiece for him. Granted, in Julia's case, they got Kiana James, but it doesn't seem to add anything. It just seems like, oh, she's going to sit here and be bland because you don't speak as good of English. Like, that's kind of how it feels to me, but I'm curious how you guys think.
Well, I guess I just kind of look. I've been looking at it a little bit differently, it may just be the bias in me, because I enjoy both of you know Liv and Stephanie's work, and but at the same time, I am in agreement with you guys, because it's just it's been very strange. Like, I like seeing these two work together. Do I wish that the build and the story they put, for them going into Mania was better than what it is? Absolutely. Um, and you bring up a good point about Booker T as well. Like, um, he is part. He's so good on commentary. I mean,
Yeah,
let me
he's
just say
fun.
that. Like, he's so good, and I'm hoping they might move him back to the main roster at some point, because he's helped a lot of the people that's on the main roster now get really to where they are. Just because of his reaction to them on commentary in NXT. Stephanie's one of them. Trick Williams is one of them. If you've ever watched Trick Williams in NXT, I know, John, you said that you wasn't super familiar with Trick's work in NXT, but like, he really got over, I think, with the whole whoop that Trick stuff,
Yeah.
in thanks to Booker, because every
His
time,
ad
like,
libs.
yeah, he's like, yeah, oh yeah, man, and stuff like that kind of stuff is all through, like, the entrance of Trick, and it just makes it. It made me get more invested in Trick because of that. And I've always said that for years. Like, I think commentary really helps get a lot of these guys over in the long run, and just it makes me wonder, like, because of how they booked Stephanie so far on the main roster. We don't really have Booker on commentary,
Yeah.
doing her matches, so her matches come across as, not as entertaining as what they were in NXT. Because if you look at, her NXT run and her main roster run, there is a huge night and day
Yeah.
difference between the reactions from the crowd, how they're using her. Um, so, and one of my, I was thinking about this match, and I talked a little bit about this on my show the other night, but Roxanne's, return and, assisting Liv in this, I think is going to play a big part in, if not in this match, but on the Raw after Mania, when it comes to the relationship between her and Liv. I feel like Roxanne is about to turn on Liv, or Liv's about to turn on Roxanne. Something's about to happen there, because with they kicked Finn out of the Judgment Day, but at the time when Finn was kicked out, Roxanne wasn't there because she was out for like this surgery, because she had like a tumor on her back or something. So, but I feel like they're about to use that going forward, because if right before, Stephanie came in, ambushed them, and their heads collided, Liv was asking Roxanne about the Finn stuff, like, hey, I know Finn brought you into the Judgment Day, blah blah blah, and like, so before Roxanne could even speak, they collided into one another. So I feel like that's going to be a bigger part going forward. I think, maybe Roxanne is with Finn, and then, she's going to get kicked out of the Judgment Day, or they might do like the double turn at Mania between Stephanie and Liv gets kicked out of the Judgment Day, and then they move forward even more, because they kind of dropped the story between Roxanne and Dom, if you notice.
Yeah, they did.
Here recently. I think there's a possibility that could pick back up, and so Dom at the same time turns on Liv and gets with Roxanne, something like that. But I really don't know. As far I feel like Liv will win this match. It makes the most sense of how they've built this so far. Um, but I know there's also been talks online about a follow up match at Backlash in an intergender tag match with Finn Balor and Stephanie versus Dom and Liv. So I really don't know. I mean, I at this point I don't think WWE knows either because they've had to take so many things just going into this Mania and really throw it together. So but I mean, my final, prediction for this match would be, I guess, be Liv to win it. But again, it doesn't really matter to me at this point.
What do you think it is like? So we were mentioning people having, hot streaks in NXT and like they come up and they still carry a piece of that over to the main roster, but then
Mhm.
it's not sustained or maintained. I've seen certain people online in the IWC say, well, hey, maybe they just peaked in NXT. Maybe that was their time. But to me, I disagree. I think it's all about it's always in the writing, it's always in the booking. What are they doing creatively to keep that momentum going? It seems like that's constantly been a problem for them ever since, well, slightly after Vince leaving, because the thing before was Vince would bring everybody up, they'd have the hot streak going. Then he changed their name, take their manager away, change the music, change the whole gimmick, set them on trajectory where they're destined to fail, handcuff them, creatively, and they have to do whatever he wants, which usually sucks. So I guess my question in all that is like, where do you think they're going wrong? Do you think it is in the booking and in the writing? Is that just me? Like, why don't those hot streaks continue? I mean, except with the exception of maybe like Trick Williams and one or two others, but pretty much everybody across the board. It's like Stephanie's the best example we were just talking about. What the hell happened there?
I think too, a big part of why talent, at least in NXT, are able to get way more over sometimes as opposed to the main roster is NXT really does feel like an indie promotion. Like I don't know if you guys have ever been
It's
to
true.
NXT shows. That's
Mhm.
the vibe you get. Like any ROH show back in the day or GCW or show like indie shows I've been to in my life, it has that atmosphere and like it doesn't just feel like oh these people are part of the show. It feels like oh my god that's my guy or that's my girl, right? That's kind of how I look at it with NXT and how some of these people kind of rise. And then you're thrown into the biggest ocean that there is in WWE, and there's just so many moving parts. And I think that sometimes it's the writing that lets them down completely. Like, what about Stephanie on the main route? We really haven't learned her story. We really have, like, you've never really let her open up. It's just, oh, she was over in NXT. Look, look, she's beautiful. Look, she looks like a star. She's got the gold. She's good in the ring. Like, it's almost like they want you to see their positives, and there are so many. But it's like, yeah, it's your job also to get them over. You don't just point and go, hey, there was a star in our developmental. Cheer for them now. And I think Crater said it best too with the commentary. Commentary, it's such a vital way to get these people over. Jim Ross did it for years, right? We didn't just know Mick Foley as four different Cactus Jack and Dude Love and Mankind. We learned the who he was, right? Mrs. Foley's baby
Baby
boy
boy.
and from sleeping on floors of Motel 6s and like Austin wins. Like these are things we remember 20, 30 years later. And I think it's just such a lost art. Like I think the commentary is just completely bad now. Like it just doesn't seem
Ugh.
like it works
It's
at all.
rough sometimes for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't understand it either. I'm glad you brought this up, Mark, but um, because, a lot of people, when like Finn was in NXT and like Shinsuke Nakamura and just Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, all those guys, that was under Triple H's booking when he was doing NXT. So, when the idea that Triple H was going to take over booking for the main roster, I think there was a lot of hype behind that. There was a lot of holy shit, the product's going to it's about to be really great. And it has. I'm not saying that it hasn't been great, but I mean it's because it's been really great at times under since Triple H took over the booking for the main roster. But this one feels really weird. Like this era right now, especially where with Stephanie, like, and just a lot of the guys that's been brought over into the main roster from NXT. The booking is not the same as it was when they were in NXT. Now, if you look at NXT, it's under kind of a different, booking leadership with Shawn Michaels, and you got some, and I'm not sure who else does the booking in NXT other than Shawn, but like I think NXT has been great here lately.
Same.
I think you got girls in there like Lola Vice and Kendall Gray and JC Jane, which JC Jane I think is about to make her way up to the main roster because she just had this the rematch for the title last night on NXT, and she lost, and then I guess they said after the show, like she kind of said her goodbyes to the fans. So I guess we'll see her on the main roster here soon. But other than that, there's several talent on NXT right now. It's awesome. Like, Joe Hendry's there, and you got Tony D'Angelo, which a year ago, I didn't really care about Tony D'Angelo and the whole family, like mob family thing that he was doing. But like ever since he's come back, it's like something has changed that they're doing with him, and I'm like really invested in him now. I think they're doing a great job with him. And then like guys that came over from AEW, like Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. He's Ricky Saints now in NXT. But I mean, I think they're doing great stuff with them. And
what about Royce Keys?
So he's only had one match so far, right? Other than the Royal Rumble. I mean, he had a match on SmackDown against Birdo.
Yeah,
I think he's on SmackDown this week too. He's going to be on SmackDown.
Okay. Now
they're trying to build him a little. I mean, I've seen the stories and stuff, like the video package stuff that they've been doing. Like that's kind of cool, I guess, but for some reason, it's way too early to say because he could get over in the next couple months, like big time. But
I don't think he's been there long enough for us to kind of really evaluate him yet. But I mean, they did kind of tease like an upcoming feud on SmackDown between him and Solo Sikoa, which that's another thing, guys. Like this whole shit with the MFTs and the White Six were like
horrible
for the past like what is it 6-7 months. I'm like, and I thought it was over with like that last match that I think Solo had with Uncle Howdy, and then like Uncle Howdy gets the lantern back. I'm like, okay, it's over with. But no, this Friday on SmackDown we're getting another 8-man tag between the White Six and MFT. Which I assume this is going to be the absolute end of it because they've been teasing Tama Tonga leaving the group because he's been having like these conversations with Nakamura, and which I've enjoyed because it kind of makes you think that they're going to kind of do a new faction with them. And then I know that Evil from New Japan just got signed with WWE, and they may put him with those guys or something. They may do like a tribute to New Japan stable or something. I don't know, but either way, I'm glad to see Solo and MFT finally start to get away from the White Six because, and I was telling you about this the other day, John. Like this, if you looking back since the White Six's debut, so. Uncle Howdy has been, I think, is like 23 matches or something like that total since the White Six debut.
Wow.
And only 3 of those matches have been singles matches. And their debut was back in like mid 2024. So
wait, has it been that long? Really?
Yeah, it was mid 2024,
Wow.
and I was super excited. I might do a whole video on like the rise and fall of the White Six,
or just the fall.
Was there ever a rise? Yeah,
there never really was a rise. So yeah, just the fall of the White Six. Because I mean, I love Bray Wyatt. I mean, I'm as big of a fan of Bray Wyatt as they come.
Me too.
But and it was really cool what they were doing in the beginning with White when they first debuted. Like it looked like a freaking massacre backstage, like they had killed Chad Gable, and and I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be cool. And they did nothing, and they've done nothing with them for months, years now. So it's really sad. And as much as I love Bray Wyatt, I think the Wyatt Six is just not it. And they need to go a different direction. I mean, Nikki Cross in that group has only been in one match at total on TV or at house shows or anything. She's been in one match since 2024.
Outside of like her, and I love Sanity. I was a huge Sanity fan in
Mhm.
the NXT run. Main roster call up, terrible, not their fault. But what the hell has Nikki Cross done? And I love her. I think she's great. But what the hell? Like,
Maybe they'll bring back the superhero gimmick.
Oh God, no! Please,
don't
no,
remind me.
no. We don't need that. And I mean, if they do anything with her, if they drop the whole White Six stuff eventually, I would love to see her go back to that kind of insane gimmick that she was doing with Sanity, and the way that she would come into the ring and just run against the ropes and just like, and it just felt so like violent, just and
Mhm.
a really violent entrance from her. And I was like, this is awesome. I really like this energy that she was bringing, and I mean, the concept is cool with the White Six and everything, like the whole, they're all horror based, and that's kind of my forte. I think we all do. We love horror, but I mean, if they're not really doing with them, big picture wise, what's the point?
Yeah, it's a bad situation on both fronts because like I was finally looking forward to them doing something with Dexter Loomis on the main roster. Gacy being called up and thrown in the mix, I'm like, okay, he fits. I know he's a fan of all that stuff. Like, all right, poor Eric Rowan can't catch a break. And
Mm-mm.
then, they're doing what they're doing with the whole howdy thing. All of it just feels very like it's like they were interested at first and they had big plans, and somewhere along the way they just gave up. And they've been floundering ever since. They're barely promoted, barely on TV. I would hate to see them break up, but then like what do they do if they're still together? So they're stuck in the same situation no matter if they break up or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just going back to why how we got into this, with Royce Keys and Solo, that kind of tease that they gave them this past Friday. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to finally see that they're doing something with Solo again, differently from the White Six. Hopefully, at least I'm hoping this is the end of it, but who knows with them. But I think that is the case though, and so with Tama with potentially leaving the group as soon as this Friday. Um, what will happen to the other members at the MFTs? If Solo does go on to this kind of solo feud with Royce Keys.
Poor Mateo, like he's done for.
Yeah, I mean, so that's, but I think that's another conversation for another time. But just to kind of like close out what we were talking about with Stephanie and Liv, like because you guys were talking about just the build between her and just these other NXT people that go into the main roster. Um, I ultimately, guys, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is because they've just done that so many times with so many people now. Um, I don't think they do it intentionally. I just think it's just kind of they're working with so many different talent as opposed to trying to build stories for each and every one of them as opposed to what they were doing 20, 30 years ago, where they would kind of focus on just kind of a handful of people at a time and their stories. But now I think that they've just kind of overwhelmed themselves because they feel like they have to build a story for every single person, and they put more attention to certain feuds over others that they, and I hate to use this term, but it feels like they get kind of lazy with ones that they're not as invested in working on as they
They
would
do.
say the more main event pictures.
Hmm.
Um, But I guess we can move on now to the main event picture of night one. And this is another interesting one. This is okay. So, I mean, this is probably the most interesting story, unfortunately, going into WrestleMania, just because not in a good way, but just kind of in a very strange way. I mean, there's a lot of celebrity involvement. I mean, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton is a story, that has close to 20 years of history to it. I mean, I think a lot of people, when Cody came into the WWE back in 2022, that was kind of one of the first, rivalries. I think, well, somewhere down the line, we got to see Cody versus Randy. Um, and I think when it kind of came to fruition this year after, Randy won the Elimination Chamber, then right after Cody wins the title, like, all right, they're doing it. They're going to do Cody versus Orton. Because I remember I was talking to you about this, John. Like, I was super pumped. Like, oh, this is definitely, what this is going to be great. And it could have been. It could have been as soon as they turned Orton back heel during the contract signing, and I had a feeling something was going, because these contract signings in WWE never go well.
Never, no.
so I had a feeling going into that Orton was going to turn heel, and then a lot of people, I think myself included, felt like, holy shit, Psycho Randy's back. 2009 Orton is going to go psychotic in this feud. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. Whatever. Okay. And I know that Orton kind of had this kind of ongoing friendship. He had a match with him, and but I didn't think for a second that Jelly Roll was going to be entered into this, but when they had him come out that one week and was kind of trying to help separate Cody and Orton, I was like, fuck, they're going to put Jelly Roll in this. And that's just one factor of how this has kind of gone to shit. So then, we have the backstage segments with Randy on the phone, like he's talking to somebody. Like, who's he on the phone with? Is he really even talking to anybody? Is it just the voices that he's talking to? But no, it's fucking Pat McAfee. And they just throw that out of left field. And even though I think that this could be a great match, because since Cody's return, him and Orton have only had two matches together. One was the King of the Ring final last year when Cody won the King of the Ring against Orton in the final. And then, of course, Orton got his win back by eliminating Cody last in the Elimination Chamber this year. So I think this could potentially be a great match. So I'm not going to, doubt that at all. But just how they have brought Jelly Roll into this, they brought Pat McAfee into this. They're, just the things that McAfee is saying, and just in his promos is, against Cody, against Punk, and then it's almost like they're tying Punk into this feud now too, because of what he said in that pipe bomb on Raw. So it doesn't really just feel like Cody versus Randy going into this. It feels more like the focus is on Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll. And honestly, that just kind of pisses me off. I mean, John, what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, this is a baffling one for sure. It almost feels like we've rewound the clock to WrestleMania 11, where like Nash and Michaels got escorted to the ring by Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy. Now it's like, all right, this is the 2026 version. We'll have Jelly Roll in one corner. We'll have a former NFL punter in the other. Just odd, really odd. You had all that history there, all that storytelling, all the legacy, and I thought what I thought they were setting up for was going to be Cody having to reach into a dark side of himself in order to overcome the darkest version of Randy Orton, that 09, the IED Randy Orton, which was probably the best Randy Orton ever was. That character was so good. So when they brought that back, I was like, oh man, I'm into this. And then, you had that segment with Cody and Stephanie on the Raw at MSG. and they were talking about, the match and stuff like that. And she's like, you got to dig deep. You got to find a part of you that could beat him. And I was like, oh man, maybe we get the Cody Rhodes heel turn. And I liked where it was going. And then Pat McAfee, really? And what was the mentality of, I'm genuinely asking, this will sound like I'm trying to be facetious. I swear I'm not. Is Pat McAfee with Randy Orton because they both punt? Is that why? Like, why? Why? It just doesn't make any. It's bizarre.
I think that could be it, possibly one of the reasons, but like ultimately, it's just the stuff with TKO. And Punk was 100% right in what he said in that pipe bomb. I mean, even though I'm sure that was scripted to say, because I've heard people saying that some of the stuff that Punk said in that pipe bomb was unscripted, but like I feel like the Pat McAfee stuff is more than likely scripted to what he said, and he was shoehorned into this match because TKO wanted to put him, and plus it's more celebrity involvement. It's more, helping to try to increase ticket sales.
I get that. I just to me, after last year, which I thought the main event last year was a disaster with Travis Scott and Cena, and that's how you win number 17. That's how you end a WrestleMania. Just it was terrible. Like, I would think they'd be smarter to say, hey, we learned our lesson. We're not going to do that again. And especially with the history those two guys have, I think this is blasphemy to really, I really do. Like, and again, I know Crater, you and I would discuss the celebrity involvement over the years, and I bring up WrestleMania 11, which had freaking Jonathan Taylor Thomas, I think, as like a ring keeper at one point.
Well, Lawrence Taylor in the main event.
Lawrence Taylor in the main event. Salt and Pepper. I don't think Salt and Pepper performed or something, but
yeah,
that's what this. It feels like if it's done wrong, it could truly reach the low of a WrestleMania 11. So I don't know. I want to say I agree with you. The match could be good, but I don't know, man. I don't even know if I have a prediction really. Like, what do you think, Mark?
Well, I mean, I agree 100% with you guys. Like, you don't need the extra hijinks of McAfee. You damn sure don't need Jelly Roll. It's all feels very thrown together and last minute. And these guys have more than enough history to play off of.
Yeah.
Not just the legacy stuff, but being, what do they always say, third generation superstars or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's that. I mean, there's many different like little bullet points that you could look at, and even casual fans could grasp onto and say like, oh yeah, I get it. That makes sense. So I would have been totally fine with just these two guys going at it for the title. We've got a hatred fueled build with the Roman and Punk thing. So they didn't even need to hate off the fact that they play each other, other than like Randy's going for his 15th and Cody's got to maintain and keep the WWE afloat. And I know they're doing the whole Golden Boy thing and they're trying to get that over. Like, there's so many moving parts that it feels very, very, it's like a big pot of gumbo, like where there's way too many ingredients. And like, I'm a simple man. Like, I'm just fine with like meat and potatoes kind of thing. Like, I don't need all the extra bullshit. So as far as who goes over, it's tough to say. It could go either way. I don't know. On one hand, I would want to say maybe put it on Randy. And that would lead into my next thing of like them, having somebody to go right up against Randy Orton right away, like as soon as they get to SmackDown. But I don't know, man. Like, they've taken one of the matches that I was really interested in and muddied the waters with all this extra shit. So I just, at the end of the day, I guess all I could hope for is just a really good wrestling match. And it doesn't matter for me who wins or loses.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to look at in the, a positive perspective. Like this, this could be a really good match, but also, my mind kind of wanders and think, well, they're definitely going to have Jelly Roll get involved. They're going to have Pat McAfee get involved. I mean, this is not going to be just Cody and Randy in this match. There's going to be somebody at least is getting involved in this. And I mean, even with the controversy around what was going on with Ted DiBiase Jr., I would rather see him than these fucking guys that they got involved with Randy and Cody
That's
here.
That
what
at
I
least
thought
would
it
have
was
made
going to be.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to go with. But then McAfee comes out, and then I'm just totally thrown off.
I mean, especially after the stuff with Ted Jr., like he won that trial and everything was like cleared on him and stuff. He's not guilty. So and then he's booked this weekend for WrestleCon in
Hmm.
Vegas. So he's supposed to be there like one of the days at WrestleCon. So he's there. Ted Jr.'s there.
The story
Um,
would have been so built in too. You could have even like broke kayfabe and been like, "Oh, TKO got him off the trial, and TKO is here to help RKO." Like you could have totally
I,
just made this like
I
better
mean,
than
yeah.
as
Hmm.
blasphemy as that is. It would have been better than a country music singer and a punter. Like what? Like
Sheesh. And it just, with the stuff that they filmed, like the vignettes and stuff with Jelly Roll too, where it shows him like training and stuff like that, and it feels like I'm really into this wrestling stuff, boys, and and like I said, I think I could really make it doing this and I think that really began with Logan Paul, because Logan Paul was just a celebrity, and he came in and he really like got it. A lot of people thought that Logan Paul was going to come in and be an absolute failure when wrestling it came to wrestling, but I mean, he's better than a lot of the like guys on the entire roster. And I'm super impressed with Logan, and I think that I don't know if WWE saw this, if TKO saw this in him. It's like, hey, if we can do this with Logan Paul, let's do this with other celebrities. And so I'm really hoping that's not the case, and then that they have Jelly Roll wrestling in a full time position in WWE. He's like, I want to take a break from the music game for a
God, I
while
hope
you
now.
not.
said it right, Crater. You said that they're going to do a tag team with Cody and Jelly Roll called Jelly Roads.
Jelly Roads, yeah. So
Oh
I mean, I
man.
think we'll
I could
definitely.
see the shirt in my head.
So the stuff with I think Randy wins this, and the biggest reason I think that Randy wins this is because um, it was on SmackDown that Pat McAfee said if Randy does not win his 15th World Championship at WrestleMania, then you will never see Pat McAfee in wrestling ever again. And that immediately tells me that Randy is winning because Pat McAfee's not going anywhere because his agent is the CEO of TKO. So they're going to keep him right there, maybe not full time because he has, you know, the stuff with the ESPN, the NFL, and all that he's got to do too. But yeah, we're going to see more of Pat McAfee in the future in the WWE for sure. Um, just I don't really know what else to say because it's absolute bullshit what they've done to this. I mean, they could have just focused on Cody and Randy's history over the past 20 years. They could have just built on that, just like how they're doing with Punk and Roman. Like it's just, I mean, sure, we had a couple instances there where the Usos got involved between Punk and Roman, but mostly this has been, just Punk and Roman. Nobody else other than the Usos, what they did, are involved. Um, it's so confusing to me, like why they would do this. Um, but yeah, I think Randy is ultimately my choice to win the match. But going back to what I was talking about, that positive perspective, that's all I can really hope for at this point out of that is just that these two have a great match with very little involvement from the outside. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case, and this could be one of the most awkward matches of the entire weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's not overbooked. I just see so many, not just from the people they have involved in, like on the side, like Jelly Roll and whatever. Like I just, for some reason, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of interference and hijinks, and the match doesn't need that.
But that also leads to the question what we were talking about earlier with Aleister Black. Is there going to be any kind of like story with that with him?
He's the only one that would make sense out of everybody that they're probably going to use. So leave it up to WWE to not do the obvious thing that like makes sense.
I really don't know. I just think ultimately overall, um, the WWE got themselves put in a predicament in for most of it. Going into Mania this year, and they had certain plans, but certain plans kind of fell through, and then they're just kind of like at this point that mentality like it's whatever. Let's just get through this and let's move on. And hopefully that is the case. Hopefully we can just kind of like close the door on a lot of this crap that's going into this Mania this year. At Mania, and then we can just kind of start fresh. On the starting with Raw after Mania, but I don't know. But leading into WrestleMania Night 2, let's talk about something more positive here. So, opening this night is probably the most hyped match
Definitely.
on the entire card. And I think this has been done tremendously well. I mean, as far as just how they've booked both of these guys, Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, the Beast versus the Ruler, and it kind of began with Brock returning at the Royal Rumble. He eliminates Oba at the Royal Rumble. Then what was it, like a month or so later? Paul Heyman makes that announcement that Brock is going to have this open challenge at WrestleMania. And I think a lot of people expected Oba to accept that challenge. How they brought that together in the beginning when Oba comes out and does the fall from grace on Brock like he's like a freaking little kid or a rag doll or something. How that popped me so, I mean, it was crazy. Like I absolutely loved that. And just the next week, Oba dominates Brock again, and then they go into like these brawls with one another, and like they were going to do the contract signing, and just that goes into complete chaos where they're throwing tables and the stairs, and just there's been very little said between these two, but somehow I'm more excited for it than I am any other match on the card almost. There might be one other match that we've not talked about yet that I might be anticipating the most over this one, but this is definitely like if I had to rank it, this would be my number 2 on my list. Because you look at the idea going into this match is Obafemi is just this monster, for the future of WWE. And what better way to kind of kickstart his career on that main roster by taking out the monster that's existed for the past 20 years or so. And we know that Brock's career is coming to an end here very soon. So I'm just glad to see these two work together before it does end. John, what's your thoughts?
I am completely with you with the build. It's been magic. The people are super into it. And I'm happy. We were talking before about certain NXT talent. They come up and they fall a little bit flat or stale or don't work out for whatever reason. Obafemi does not seem like that's going on. I mean, everybody's into it even before he comes out and the strut down the ring and like it is magic. It's over. And I'm really excited to see what the future has in store for Obafemi because he is over. He has a charisma about him, a swagger about him, an intensity. He truly has it all. I'm all for this match. I'm really excited. And like you said, the storytelling of the old monster versus this new up and comer, right? And now I'm all for it. I think the only thing that can kind of sway this, and I'm wanting to be wrong on this completely, is I don't know. Like this totally feels like a situation in the past where WWE brought these guys up, brought up and comers to face Brock Lesnar that had the momentum that should have probably gone over and didn't for whatever reason. And like I pray they've learned from those mistakes and have Obafemi win. Like to me, this feels like a must win for Obafemi. Like he should win, has to win. whatever. Will it happen though? I don't know. I've seen too many Brock Lesnar. Oh, Brock wins again. Same old shit. Like, I'm worried that could happen here. And the whole,
Dude.
oh, hey, well, he's retiring. We got to make him look strong before he retire. Like, I could
Yep.
see that too. And I think we would all collectively yawn. The fans want to see Obafemi win. It's time. Like, it's organically gotten so over to the point where I could even see this being a legitimate end career feud for Brock Lesnar. If it doesn't end here, maybe the rematch is at SummerSlam and like Oba's the guy to end it. So that's my hope. But man, if I had to say my actual pick, it's probably Brock Lesnar. Like I want to go with my heart. I want to go with what should happen. But I think WWE is going to do some stupid shit and Brock Lesnar is going to win.
Wow, I didn't I didn't see that coming.
I want to be wrong. I do. I swear.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go Oba here. They put so much into this and built it up, and because I look at it this way, like they didn't really have to do all the stuff that they've done, all the pull apart stuff, all the him one upping Brock. The match would have sold itself just fine. So it seems like they're building him up for him to win. That's got to be what happens. I mean, that has to happen. I don't know if he's necessarily completely DOA, like if he loses. I guess, it's all in the booking after the fact. But I mean, what a way to strap the rocket to him and have him win. And I was talking about this with somebody else. Speaking of strapping the rocket to him, what would you guys say if he goes right after a world championship, if he was to beat Brock right away? He's 27.
I think so. I think it's going to happen.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, he's super over. It's not like it's all in a gimmick, because that's not it. If people are doing the strut like you guys were talking about. People are they're chanting his name before he comes out. Yeah, it's like it's all there, and it's
over. Like he's over the moon, dude.
Exactly. So pay it off, have him win at Mania. Then he goes right after whichever world champion. I guess if they want to have him go after Roman, if Roman wins it, I'm fine with that. I'd say put him over right away. They haven't done that in I can't even remember the last time that like somebody was this over organically and then they just put the title on him right away after a big win. Like it's almost, I mean, hell, who was I guess Orton was like the youngest champion at, what was it, 23 or 24 he was?
I think Brock was the youngest champion.
Was it Brock?
23, yeah.
Okay, so it's Brock, not Orton. Okay, but either way,
I thought it was Orton too, man. So you're not alone.
So either way, but look at what it did for those guys' careers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have a tendency to want to not drag things out with certain people that are over, but like sort of make them climb that ladder. And you'll win the IC title, and you're going to build up to the world championship. But in this case, this is a special thing here. Capitalize, strike while the iron's hot, go with it, see what happens. And yeah, I think it'll be nothing but success. I'm going Obafemi with this one.
Now let me ask this, because like to me, another glaring why I'm afraid they're gonna have Brock win is that it reminds me a lot of the Goldberg Brock feud where he had Brock's number, right? Like every time he went over. That's kind of what this feels like to me. Like it feels like Oba's just strong every week. And then at the place where it matters, the match where it matters, I'm scared it's going to be like, oh, Oba made a rookie mistake and Brock is like, I can see, I pray to God it doesn't happen though. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I will gladly sit in the corner and be like, I was wrong. And I'm happy to be wrong if I am, but oh man, I don't know. Like I got the Goldberg Brock vibes. If I got your number, but am I crazy? Maybe.
No, I mean, that's what they did. I mean, if you look at the Omos and Brock thing, is the same thing. Like he had his number all the way up until they had the match. And don't get me wrong, the right person won because it's Omos. So whatever. But
yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Like Omos is shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's just, oh my God, they'll never hear the end of it if Oba loses. Like
Yeah.
I mean,
And they should
Triple
they,
H.
like they should just go with the guy who's over and like the people want to see like what a WrestleMania moment that would be. What a passing of the torch. And like, yeah, Brock could still have his retirement match. And like, I don't think it hurts Brock. I think if
Right.
anything, like Oba just needs it, man. I'm really hoping Oba goes over.
Yeah, and I mean, even though I am wearing my Brock and Paul shirt, um, I gotta go with Oba as well because and you use excellent terminology on this, Mark. When you said "strike when the iron is hot," because we've mentioned that his entrance is over, with the strut, and then like fans kind of chanting in rhythm, Oba, Oba, with his music, and the dude like just cut an excellent
He
promo on
did.
Brock
Yeah.
Mhm.
this past Raw. I was like, holy shit! Like, and he has talked here and there when during his NXT run, but man, like that really like kind of put him over the edge with that. And whoever helped put that together did an excellent job because I mean everything he said was like, I was like, hell yeah, that it just hypes you up even more going into that match. And I'm like, why can't they do that shit with everything else on the card almost, you know? But yeah, I mean, definitely, there has been discussions online that Brock could go over. And I think a lot of that has to do with like it being shown on ESPN or whatever in the first hour, and a lot of ESPN like I guess officials are very high on Brock and may want to see him win the match. Um, but no, I think I mean if they I mean, it's very difficult to say because, I think most people want to see Oba win this match, and I think
Absolutely.
it's the best
Mhm.
decision going forward, and they could kind of like if Cody ends up he does win and retain the title, which I don't see happening, but they could always kind of like with Oba and Cody to go back to where they had that match a while back on Saturday night's main event that Cody defeated Oba in. I don't know if you guys remember that match or not,
Yeah.
but like
Mhm.
it was kind of like a champion versus champion match. This is when Oba was still in NXT, but they could kind of revisit that. But I think at this point it doesn't have to be that. Oba could really work with anybody. I think that's how over he is, and I think if he does this win this match, just like Mark was saying, you know, the best thing to do for him is to immediately just put him into the title picture. And and I would actually just go ahead and put the title on him if they do that. The first match he has for the championship, give it to him. Let him run with it because right now he's one of the most over guys in that entire company. And it's insane because it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with all these NXT people coming to the main roster, and it kind of doesn't feel as big with the stories and how they're the characters they're portraying on the main roster as what they once was in NXT. But with Oba, it's so different. And even with Trick Williams too. Trick Williams is another guy. Like he's super over right now. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But but with Oba, it's the most over that I've seen someone transition from NXT to the main roster in like forever.
Yeah,
And
it's proof that actions speak louder than words. Of all the matches that are on WrestleMania, of all the builds and all the celebrities and Jelly Roll and this and that, this has been the best build bar none. And there's hardly been a word spoken by either guy. And like that's just telling of how magical this feels. So I hope they capture that moment,
yeah.
man. There's no better place to do it.
Yeah.
Which I am glad that they did get a little bit of input there, in this feud with Oba doing that promo, and like it's been a lot of like Paul Heyman and stuff, and kind of like helping this kind of progress. But like I was glad they at least had one of the guys come forward and do a promo, going into the because Brock, Brock is not a connoisseur of the mic or anything, so. Uh, So I wasn't really expecting anything or much from him other than the little things that he has done. Like he's maybe uttered like 5 words in this whole feud. So, but ultimately, when it comes to these type of guys and this type of match, um, I think that's just what most people are concerned. They're not concerned with the promos or the story,
No.
really. They're just concerned with just the hype and just like the attraction of it all. And that's really what wrestling kind of how wrestling became popular back in the 80s. It was just, it was some of these guys that were wrestling weren't the best on the mic, they weren't the best in the ring, but just how they presented it, how it became just this, over the top attraction is what really sold it to people. And I just feel like that's something we don't have enough of in wrestling anymore. That's why so many people became fans. And I feel like this is great that they have this on WrestleMania, as opposed to other matches that's going into Mania, because this is something that has drawn so many people, I think, outside of wrestling and outside of WWE to be like, hey, we really need to kind of take note to this match, because this is kind of it almost feels like they're about to transition into this kind of, which I know they've kind of been in this new era or whatever, since they came over to Netflix, but it's really like, it feels more exciting with Oba, because it's really unpredictable what they could do with him beyond Mania, because from what I understand, he's not signed to Raw, he's not signed to SmackDown, so he's still what they would call a free agent. So I think they should keep it that way for at least a while, and just I would have him show up on both
Yeah,
shows.
this way you never know. So if you buy a ticket to Raw or SmackDown, it's like, oh, maybe Oba will
Exactly.
show up tonight. That would be
Mhm.
that's a great idea.
So I think that's, if that were me, that's what I would do with him. As long as he was able to do it, make all those dates, and those appearances. Um, Man, like there's so much potential there. But yeah, I want Oba to win, but I'm really not sure what they're going to do in the long run, though. Um, but I guess that brings us to the next match. It's going to open up the first hour of night two. This is another match that was just quickly thrown together last minute. But I don't really have too many complaints about it. I mean, because it's a 6-man ladder match. It's going to be really cool. I mean, I think there's going to be some really cool spots in this, and you know, and I say I'm not going to complain because there's been a lot of matches in the past, at, pay-per-views, WrestleMania, that have just kind of been thrown on there just because it's kind of this fast paced, high spot, attraction. Um, and when Penta won the Intercontinental Championship from Dom, I was just kind of waiting and waiting. Like, what are they going to do? I mean, Penta is one of their most highlighted guys in the company right now, especially on Raw. Um, and I feel like they're going to do something big with him at Mania, but just what what are they going to do? But it went week after week, and I think it was on just like 2 weeks ago or something, on March 30th, or whenever that was, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. After he like he had his match. He he was in the ring, did like an interview. He's like, we're gonna do a ladder match at WrestleMania, and there was no build to that at all. Like immediately after it was announced, we already had a graphic made with with 4 other guys in the match. And then Michael Cole makes this comment on commentary, and he's like, they had qualifying matches on main event for that's how they chose. I'm like, that's bullshit, dude. Like Penta just announced the match. When did they have these qualifying matches? like, so I didn't understand that, but I was like, it's still a cool match. Penta is one of those guys that came into WWE, and I think he's had an awesome run. And then they've done very little with him, like in promos or on the mic and stuff. I mean, because I don't know how good of English he's fluent at or anything, but he does speak pretty good English from what I've heard so far. But I mean, just I think he's one of those guys, kind of like if you look at the cruiserweights back in WCW back in the 90s, a lot of those guys didn't really have stories or promos that they would do, but they would go out there and they would fucking kill it though. They would fucking have some of the best matches on the entire card, and that's why I've always enjoyed like Mexican wrestling, luchador wrestling, because they really just kind of tell their stories in the ring. Um, and that's why I'm such a huge Penta's one of my top 5 guys in all of WWE right now. So I'm really looking forward to this match. And then you have the addition of Rey Mysterio, which felt random, but at the same time kind of makes sense because I think this will be is this the first time that him and Penta will have a match like in the WWE at least?
I
Definitely in
think
the
so.
WWE. I don't know about ever.
I think they might have had a match before in Lucha Underground, if I'm not mistaken. But I was thinking this was the first time they're going to have a match together in the WWE though. So and I can feel with Ray kind of almost closing that door on his career here very soon as well. Penta's going to be kind of like in that spot, I think, once Ray goes. So John, what's your thoughts on all this?
I would have to second what you said about the terrible build, if you can even call it a build. Like it really
Yeah, if
wasn't
you
much.
can even
This is
call it that.
Yeah, this is classic. Like we used to do the Money in the Bank match for performers like this, but now we'll just put the Intercontinental Championship just so there's something at stake. But with that being said, I agree it'll be a fun spot fest. I'm a big Javon Evans fan. I think he is incredible. I'm really pulling for him to win this match, so much so that he's my pick. Obviously, I'm not going to highlight every talent in the match, but like I think this will be very entertaining. This is a perfect first or second match on a WrestleMania, like just something to excite everybody, get everybody into the flow of things. And like that to me is what WrestleMania is all about. And I'd like to see a young up and comer like Javon walk out with it. I could see Penta retaining. I could even see maybe they put it on Ray and Dom and Ray have a feud for it. That would be like Ray's last feud if they wanted to go that route. There's so many ways you can go with it. I'm personally, Javon is exciting. Javon is the future. Give it to fucking Javon. So I'm wholeheartedly on that train. I hope Javon wins, and I'm picking him.
Yeah, I mean he's my pick too, but I could so easily see them keeping it on Penta, like him just retaining outright. His run hasn't been that long. There's still quite a bit more they could do with him. But I'll tell you this: the one sore thumb in the match, I think we all know who it is. It's
Rusev.
That's a guy I just never liked. I've never been on board with Rusev ever, even when he was in, I think he was Alexander Rusev or something like that in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like him then. He got called up. I knew Vince would love him, and he used the hell out of him and probably did just about everything you could do with a character like that. Then he leaves, goes to AEW, doesn't change, comes back, and he's still doing the same shit. And that's my issue with him. He's never evolved. He's doing the same fucking moves he did like 10, 15 years ago because the same promo, same character. Like so many guys that we're huge fans of and the guys that are the best to do it in the business, they evolve their characters over time. He's been the same fucking guy for so long. And for me, I'm just like, why is he here? Well, every time he comes out, I think the same thing. Look at this waste of money.
He's got that Alberto Del Rio syndrome for sure. Like it's a very similar thing. And like to me, I much rather see Carmelo Hayes in the spot that Rusev has. Like
I'd put Bray Phoenix in the spot.
Sure, this literally you could name probably 5 to 10 guys that would make more sense and are more over. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they owed him a favor. Maybe Paul Heyman owed him a favor. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, so all the guys that's in the match they're Raw guys. So like, I would definitely replace them with if they were doing both Raw and SmackDown guys. I think Ray Phoenix would have been a better choice to be in that spot than Rusev. I would bet any amount of money that Rusev is not winning this match.
Oh, of course not.
because if you look at at the how the pattern goes over the years, WWE, like usually whoever's like left standing tall in the go home show doesn't usually win at the pay per view or the PLE, if you want, whatever you want to call it nowadays.
Right.
And what just happened on Raw, Rusev, he just decimated everyone.
Everybody.
Did
Yeah.
he? I missed that.
Mhm.
Yeah, he did. I mean, all 5 other guys, he just was super kick after super kick, and then he just did
Jeez.
like he was kept doing the what do you call the move the camel clutch move that he does? What's it
Yeah.
called? He did it like twice on Dragon Lee.
The accolade.
Um, yeah, the accolade. There you go. And that makes me think that they might have Dragon Lee win this. But again, if I had to make an ultimate choice, it would probably be Penta. I think Penta retains. Um, just because I don't know, like it feels like that they're doing something big. And someone here in the comments had made that said Penta is the new Shinsuke over like Rover will never be world champ. I disagree with that. I disagree. I think that they will eventually put one of the main titles on Penta. I mean, he's so beloved. As small as Rey Mysterio is, like when he came to the WWE, I would have thought, they're not going to put the world title or the WWE title on Rey Mysterio. They might keep him in the mid card titles or whatever, because at that time the cruiserweight championship was still around, and he held that belt for a while, and then several great feuds based around that belt. But did I ever think that they were going to make him like the world heavyweight champion? Absolutely not. So
Do you like
I
his
did,
run as world champ?
I did actually. I really did. And but that might be a biased thing with me because I've always been a huge Ray since the moment I first saw him in WCW.
No, I mean that's not biased. I mean, I enjoyed it too. For what it was worth, like you said, like I never would have seen him winning it, but when he got it, I mean, even the more unique stuff like that he did when he had the title, when he faced Sabu with that one night stand. Hated the finish to the match, but the match itself was fucking killer.
Yeah, because that guy comes in, he's like, "This match is over."
Yeah.
And like, what the fuck is this? I was like, and it was like the only match that him and Sabu had in the United States.
Yeah, and it was for a world championship. Seeing Sabu face Ray for the world title, I'm like, what am I watching? So yeah.
So like, and that's just it's one of the point I was trying to make with Penta. Like, I feel like, there's a lot of people that may feel that way, that Penta is, he's good. The fans love him, but he's never going to be a world champion. I disagree with that. I think that he is one of those guys that, they have put just so much faith in over the past year or so now, that it's eventually going to happen. I mean, now, as far as like his promo work and stuff goes, if he becomes champion, that's the only thing that I kind of questioned about it, because I don't know how well that will go. Because, like I said, when it comes to the language barrier, like from what I've heard, he speaks pretty good English, but could he carry that, in a promo for promo thing in a feud with another top guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the only thing that kind of worries me, that would hold him back from, them putting faith in him as their top guy. But I'm not saying that's going to happen anytime soon or anything, but I think eventually we will get to that point where they put Penta in a more prominent role and possibly, one of their top champions. But with this match, like I said, I want Penta will be my main choice, but if I had to, pick anyone besides him, I would go with that wild card and say Dragon Lee, because not only is Javon Evans' first WrestleMania match, I think this is Dragon Lee's first WrestleMania match as well. But you talked about Rusev being kind of like the sore thumb. I think JD's kind of a sore thumb in it too. Because it's just odd, like that they picked him out of other people that could have been in the match. I would have just figured that he wouldn't have been on Mania at all, that he would just be involved somehow in that Finn and Dom match that they're doing.
Yeah.
But so again, it could just be just like, oh yeah, you're in it. I mean, you're not going to win, but you're in it.
We
So
need some more high spots in this part of the match.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a super fun match. I think it's going to get some crazy pops out of the crowd. So I'm excited for it. Um, Speaking of excited, I'm really excited about this next match, and I feel sorry for the guys involved. Well, at least one of them I feel sorry for, because this match for the U.S. Championship, Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams. Um, and let me just like backtrack for a second and talk about like, because I want to talk about crowd reactions for this match. So going back to when we were talking about Cody versus Orton, when Orton turned heel, I mean, the fans ate it up. They loved it. They were cheering. They've been booing Cody, and everything that Orton's been doing, they've been cheering for. Even when he tried to break Matt Cardona's arm, the fans loved it. They were like chanting like one more time, all this shit, and that kind of applies to this feud as well, like with Sammy and Trick, because Trick is already out. He's been over since he was in NXT, and the fans love him. They love doing the whoop that Trick stuff, and I can't help but feel that's the only reason that they're turning on Sami Zayn. Like because I don't understand why the majority of fans have turned on him, like
Because of the
so
way
quickly.
he won the title.
Other than that, yes, because I think a lot of people expected Carmelo Hayes to be possibly, added to this match. It'd be a triple threat, but I don't think that would have been fair to Carmelo Hayes, because if you look at this feud between Sammy and Trick, it's been ongoing off and on since Trick's debut back in January. Because when Trick debuted, who did he walk out on and interrupt? Sami Zayn. And then there's just kind of been this kind of back and forth between Sammy and Trick for a while. I mean, they had the Fatal 4-Way match there at Saturday Night's Main Event, where Sammy won, got to be the number one contender against Drew at Royal Rumble. And then just beyond that, they kind of went back into their little feud again after Royal Rumble, when they were doing like the qualifying matches into the Elimination Chamber. Sammy failed to advance, but Trick did. And Trick, ever since he's been on SmackDown, he has not lost a single match on SmackDown. I mean, he lost, of course, at Saturday Night's Main Event, Elimination Chamber, but he's won every match he's been in on SmackDown thus far. So you kind of see these things back and forth, in the backstage segments between Trick and Sammy and stuff. And then it leads to the open challenge for the U.S. title, where Sammy challenges Carmelo Hayes for the title, and he wins it. And before Sammy had ever won the title that night, Nick Aldis is backstage there with Trick Williams, and he's like, Trick has a match at WrestleMania. Like, he's already given the match, and basically it was going to be against Carmelo Hayes. But with that ongoing thing between Sammy and Trick, that's why they put the title on Sammy. And because they wanted to continue that feud between him and Trick going into Mania. Now, I feel very sorry for Carmelo Hayes, because I'm a big fan of his, and I feel like he should have had a match on Mania. That's the only thing that I hate about all this, is that, and because they took the belt off of him so close to WrestleMania. They couldn't have just done something with Sammy and Trick and just a one-on-one grudge match or something. They had to have the title involved. And I just think it wouldn't be fair, to add Carmelo into all that, because Carmelo and Trick had they were, a tag team in NXT. Then they, Carmelo turned on Trick, and they had a little feud there. And I would love to see that continue on the main roster, but not in this way though. So I feel like the only thing to do here, the best thing to do, was Sammy versus Trick. But like I said, the only thing I hate about that is that they had to have the U.S. title, involved there. And I understand that's why probably people are upset, but is that Sammy's fault though? I don't but do you think they are booing Sammy because of Sammy, or do you think they're just booing because they don't like, the decision to put Sammy as the champion? So John, I'll start with you.
I would even say it's a third party. I think they're just maybe it's just Sami Zayn fatigue. Like I'm personally fatigued. Like I would much rather Carmelo versus Trick 1-on-1. And I know, like you said, they planted the seed for Sammy versus Trick
Yeah.
for so long. So I get why they go that rail. But like to me, it would be way more exciting to see two young up and comers fight over a mid card belt. And it's like, okay, who's going to be the guy that goes over here? Who's going to get the rub at WrestleMania? Their first WrestleMania is both guys. That to me is so much more exciting than just Sami Zayn, who, let's face it, like he's been on the roster a while. We've seen a ton of Sami Zayn. Like it's don't get me wrong, great in-ring performer. I've never been a big fan. He's had some great matches, but I'm just not like I get why they're booing it. Like at least in my opinion, it's fatigue. It's like, all right, man, like we know what you do now. Like I'd much rather see the young up and comers. Trick Williams has to win. Like I know there have been discussions and rumors of a double turn.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like the crowd kind of already made that decision, like it doesn't
That's
really
what
feel like
I'm
Trick's
saying. Like it feels like
heel.
the crowd is kind of like involved in the story itself, and they're going to kind of cause that double turn, which is a lot of what happened with we mentioned it earlier, Stone Cold and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. The double turn in that match. Are we going to see one as good as that with this? I don't think so. But when I mentioned at the beginning of this, when we were starting to talk about this match, that I'm excited, is because I think that this could be one of the best in-ring matches, all weekend. I just think that Trick, I've seen him work with a lot of different guys in NXT, and the guys he's worked with so far as just getting the main roster. This is going to be an amazing match. Regardless how you feel about the story going into it, it's definitely going to be an exciting match.
Yeah, I think it will be too. I'm really looking forward to seeing Trick go over. It's totally the right decision. He's super over with the audience. You got to go with him. But here's the thing with Sammy, and maybe I'm in the minority here. They've kind of built him this way over the last month or so. I don't know if you guys remember the backstage segments that he had with Cody, where and then he even spoke to Orton a couple times, and Orton was like, "Well, you gotta take advantage of these type of situations, and whether or not it's the right thing to do." So when he had that opportunity with Carmelo, he took the easy way out and won the title. And it's sort of like his character's evolved into this. He's a heel, but he thinks he's doing the right thing. So he's kind of like maybe a tweener in a way. And it's like it's kind of teetering more towards heel status, but he hasn't fully made the jump. Like he hasn't done anything like, hit somebody with a championship or something, or done something super dirty to win a match or anything other than the Carmelo thing. So it's like, that was like the Kickstarter for the audience. But over the last month or so, this is the most interesting that he's been. I didn't necessarily love like all the slapping water bottles backstage or whatever to show his frustration. He could have gotten that out in other ways, but it was still something. And it's much more than what they've been doing with him over the last year or so. So I kind of like that sort of tweener character where, like I said, he's doing heel stuff so far, but not 100% yet, but he still thinks he's doing the right thing. He's like, why do you hate me? Like, I took the opportunity that came forward and I won. So I like that aspect of it. But the only issue is it's Sammy. And they never, anytime he starts to get any sort of real momentum, they never truly take off with it. And like, he's not going to win a world title or anything. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you get invested only so much because they're only going to do so much with him.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am. So, I mean, he has great matches and all, but definitely Trick needs the title. We'll see what they do with him after, though. I just hope they kind of lean more into that character and really, really push the envelope with him. There's a lot of potential for him to do some crazy shit.
See, I like Sammy. I can't lie. But, I've been a fan of him for probably around close to 20 years now. When was seeing him work in Ring of Honor as El Generico, and just and then you come up, later on into NXT and all that stuff. You know, I really like him, but it's odd, and you mentioned that because I talked to John about this not long ago about like the stuff, the backstage stuff with Cody and Randy, and there for a little bit, I had this expectation that Sammy was going to be involved somehow in the match between Cody and Randy at Mania, just because of those little backstage segments they did. I was like, but then they kind of like changed everything, with because of the celebrity involvement and all that. Um, so I just didn't really know. I was like, what are they doing? Like I knew that they kind of been having things going on here and there with Trick Williams. I was following that. I'm like, but then let's talk about someone else. Aleister Black. There was also segments with Aleister Black and Sammy. And I don't know if it's just me, but do you feel like they've just what they're doing with Aleister Black and Zelina is just they just replaced Karrion Cross and Scarlett.
That's what I was gonna say.
Uh and because when Cross and Scarlett was still there, they were having those same kind of segments backstage with Sammy.
Yeah.
And it just feels like okay, they're gone now, so let's just do the same thing with Aleister Black. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you get rid of Cross? I mean, I understand they try to. I've heard stories like Cross was offered like a low amount or something, and that's why he decided not to resign. So maybe they enjoyed that story that they were doing with Cross, but just because where Cross decided to not re-sign with WWE, they didn't want to drop it, so they just give it to someone else. But what does that mean though? What does that mean for Aleister Black? Because like I said, we talked about how he's in the background of these segments with or Cody and Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee and all that. There's a possibility he's going to be involved with that. Is he still going to be involved somehow with Sammy? Um, it's like I said, it's so confusing at times because it feels like they don't even know themselves what they're doing. So because they just kind of throw whatever at a wall and see what sticks. Um, and I I don't know, guys. I just think this is going to be a good match, but as far as like the story long term, I think there's a possibility it could be a double turn. But I think the best decision is to have Trick win this. And if they do that, then that's going to be, I think, the ultimate thing that's going to cause Sammy to go over the edge.
Does
And
Lil Yachty get involved, or is he
oh
just
yeah,
the
let's
hype
talk
man?
about that too, because I almost forgot about that. Yeah, Little Yachty gets involved 100%. I think. I mean, why Little Yachty is even included in this shit is beyond me. Once again, just more
I
celebrity
hate it.
involvement, ticket sales. It attracts the eye of people that aren't casual wrestling fans. I get it, but
He does not. If there's anybody in the business that doesn't need a hype man, it's Trick Williams.
oh
And
yeah,
especially from dude, I hate every time he comes out, his fucking voice. It's like he's
I was
got
going to say
his.
the same thing. It's so annoying.
It sounds like he's got his nuts stuck in a vice grip.
It does. He
It's
sounds like a
so
child.
high pitched and cringe, and it's just no, just go away. We don't need someone to sing along and hype up the crowd. They're already into the guy. Like we don't need you.
Yeah, that was. I mean, amongst other things, and with this feud, like, cause the decision to put the U.S. title, involve it with between these two, but when he came out, I thought it was maybe just gonna be a one off thing, like just that maybe for that one night or something. But then when he's going to now be with Trick Williams going into this completely into Mania, um, I don't get it. I don't understand it, and like to me, it feels like it tainted, the story going into Mania by involving him, and just like his voice just is really what made it so awkward. I'm like, good lord, just stop this. Like, I mean, they should have just had Booker T come out there with Trick Williams, and like, I would rather that, instead of um. But I don't know. It's we're at a very weird time when it
Yeah.
comes to the celebrity involvement with WWE. Um, but I don't really know where to go from there. You guys have any last thoughts on Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn?
No. Hopefully that's the last we see of Lil Yachty. I just want him to go
Yeah,
away so
yeah,
bad.
100%. Um, now this next one, I'm not too crazy about this match either, and this is the WWE Women's Championship between Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. And don't get me wrong, I am a very big Rhea Ripley fan, but I feel like this is the least interesting match that she's had thus far when it comes to WrestleManias. Um,
Definitely.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like surrounding the background going into this match, because there's supposedly like legitimate heat between both of the women, outside of wrestling, stuff that they said on social media. I don't know how much of that is scripted, or we're just being worked on. I don't know if that, I don't know if it is, just it's legit. So, but beyond that, that's really the only thing that's interesting really going into this match, because while I think Jade has I've stated this many times, Jade has a great look. I mean, but she is still super green. And none of the feuds that she's been in thus far have really interested me. And I feel like they tried to put her with Rhea because the WWE is aware of that she's not really kind of clicking with fans as well as they wanted her to. So I thought that maybe by putting her with Rhea, it might have fans look at it differently, but it doesn't change anything for me personally. Um, and it feels kind of like desperate that they had to throw Meechin and BFAB in there too, and give Jade this stable, because to me that just states the obvious that, like, well, our champion is not that interesting, so we got to put somebody else there to try to make her look interesting and dangerous, and is a legitimate opponent to Rhea Ripley. Um, and then you have the stuff with Io being involved in this and not having a match of her own. Um, it's very strange, because it seemed like they were kind of building this feud with Io and Asuka, and now they're saying we're not going to see that match until probably Backlash. So okay, so, and I get, like, Io and Rhea, they have this kind of, bond. They're close friends and all this stuff. It almost seems very sexual at sometimes. I don't know if you guys see it the same
Oh,
way.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
There's very, like, something more going on there between them two, but uh, but it's just it's strange. And then they do the thing with Io where, like, Rhea's held back and, like, she's getting beat down with a kendo stick. So, um, John, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Mostly when it comes to this, because I know you're a huge Io Sky fan. She's your favorite wrestler in the world. So let's hear your thoughts about this story between Rhea and Jade and how Io's involved.
Yeah, no, I mean, this to me feels a lot like WWE hit the panic button. I think again, we talked at the beginning of this, how their initial plans didn't fall into place. I definitely think the initial plan was Bianca and Jade, and for Jade to probably get a really good match, right? Because
Yeah.
we all know how great of a talent Bianca is.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Bianca, that freak knuckle injury of last year's Mania, we haven't seen her since in the ring
She
in a
might they
match.
say she might be losing her finger too because of that.
Really?
Really?
I thought everything was okay. Like she had the surgery, and so
That's what Garrett told me. I had never seen that anywhere, but I know I was talking to Garrett, and he said that he had seen something where there's a possibility that she may be having to lose that finger.
Oh
So
my God.
I
that's
don't know
terrible.
what the story is on that. So, but that's just what I heard.
Well, I hope that for, record's sake, that doesn't happen. I hope we see her back sooner, than later. But that felt like the match they had planted a seed for. Okay, that didn't happen. Then you have Tiffany, who last year goes into WrestleMania as the women's champion, beats Charlotte Flair clean. And she has this title run of real boredom. It was a vanilla title run. I
Yeah.
mean, she didn't lose really, but like she wasn't over either. It was kind of not too far off from where I see Bacchera as the champion. Just didn't feel like she's over. So they don't go with her as the backup. Instead, they hit the Rhea Ripley panic button, pull her from the other show to come to SmackDown. She wins the Chamber, and like the forced heat here is pathetic to me. It so much feels like they want to be Punk and McIntyre, where like it felt like these guys really hate each other. Where okay, we'll have a Twitter war to make it look like we really hate each other. It's pathetic. Like that's such bad. Like we have no heat. How do we get it? Okay, we'll have them bash each other on Twitter. Like that's pathetic to me. And then the whole thing with EO, and this worries me a lot now. Like I'm sad that Io's not on WrestleMania. She doesn't have a match, despite she has a WrestleMania official shirt, but she's not on WrestleMania. So that's crazy. The past couple weeks, man, it has me thinking that they might have Io cost Rhea the match. I hope that does not happen. Like it seems like they're very much, oh, you're in Rhea's shadow. You're in Rhea's shadow. Like Asuka was teasing her about that. And even the way Raw, the match with Kairi Sane and Io ended, which was a really good match, by the way. She loses the match and Io's like this, like, holy shit, I lost this match. I don't know. Like, I think Jade needs this win. I think we got to see what we have in Jade. I agree with you. She is green. She does look like $1 million. I'm not ready to say, oh, forget Jade Cargill. Like, I'm all for giving her a real run with the belt. And she's only ever really defended it once against Jordy Lynn Grace of fucking
Jordan Grace. Yeah,
Jordan
that's another girl that got injured and she's out right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the only match where Jade defended the belt in 100+ days. So it's odd. It feels like she's just a champion by title now. So it's like I think she needs that signature win, and I think Rhea will get a great match out of her. And for what's worth, I do think Jade's gotten better. Like I thought the Jade EO match this past Friday night was a good match. Like I think there's potential in Jade. I just think that they need somebody like Rhea to bring it out of her. I just hope they don't do anything screwy with the finish. Like I've heard people say, oh, Bianca's going to come out and cost. EO's going to come out and cost. I hope they don't do any shit like that. Like I just hope Jade goes over. Let's move on. Like Rhea don't need that belt. Like Jade needs the win, I think. So my pick is Jade. I just pray to God they don't turn Io Sky heel. Like I really, I hope that doesn't happen. Like, oh God, I would be physically sick. I'd rather not be on Mania than turn heel. And that's come from her biggest fan. So I don't know. But what do you think, Marq?
It's kind of weird because so Jay debuted in AEW like 2020 or something like that. She left in 2023 because that's when she came to WWE. I mean, she got trained by some of the best guys when she was down with AEW. Bryan Danielson, Dustin Rhodes, Sanjay Dutt. I mean, and then she's, been in the Performance Center. She's done all sorts of stuff. At this point, can we still call her green, or is she just not that great? Obviously, she's got the look. She's fine on the mic. She's got presence. Is she ever going to get to that point where like she's a contender the same way in the ring that Rhea is? And maybe that's not necessarily the fairest comparison just because it's Rhea Ripley, but still, like, at what point can we not call her green anymore and say like she just isn't going to rise to the occasion? Like she's got everything else but the in-ring to hold her own.
I think
Yeah.
by the end of this title reign, I mean, if she's not shown you something by the end of this run, whoever dethrones her, which I do think it's going to be Lash, my prediction would be Lash at SummerSlam. Like, if you don't see the stardom at that point, and she doesn't show you that she does belong in the spot she's been put in, that's when, to me. So I think she's got a little bit more time, a couple more months. Like, I would be willing to give her that grace period. But yeah, no, I see your point completely. Like, and I felt this way last year. I was like, Naomi should go over. I was like, why should we give a shit about the Storm? Who the hell cares? It's just not, just didn't feel organically over. But yeah, no, now it's put up or shut up. Have a great match at WrestleMania. That'd be a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Rhea getting the title back. I just, for some reason, they just want to put it back on her. She doesn't really need it though. That's the thing.
No.
And that sounds weird to say, because typically one of the best people on the roster, or your top person on the roster, male or female, they're going to get the title, right? They're going to have another run, but she's had so many. So I'm like, what does one more win at Mania do for Rhea? Not too much, but it'll do everything for Jade if she was to beat Rhea. So I don't know. I see them giving it back to Rhea, honestly.
Okay.
I can see that too. But I can see a lot of different ways they could go with this. Like, you know, and one of them is what you're talking about, you know, John, is you know, that if they give her the win, you know, it would have to, you know, build towards something to where, you know, the fans are invested in her, you know, that she would carry on that title to, you know, eventually maybe losing to Lash Legend or something like that. But like, if they not able to accomplish that, what happens to her, you know, as a talent? You know, do they, if they fail to do that, now, I can also see Rhea, you know, taking the belt, and because it just feels like with her as a champion, you know, we'll have at least a lot more interesting feuds, even if it's, you know, people that she's feuded with in the past. You know, I feel like just the crowd is more invested, you know, in Rhea, no matter what, even if she's a champion or not.
Right.
You know, I think the fans are always going to be, you know, strongly behind her. But I feel like, you know, if she's the, you know, their top women's talent, that, you know, why not put the belt on her? And I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, she's had those opportunities. We need to, you know, focus on other people. But, you know, when it's like Ric Flair says, you know, you're the best thing going today, you know, then you're going to, you know, you need to put that person at the very top. And I could see this going in a way, as far as EO goes, I could see this going in a way where EO gets involved, but she doesn't turn heel, but she costs Rhea the match. And this causes Rhea to be the one that turns heel.
Whoa. I'd be all for that. That would be really cool.
Because, I mean, look at the matches that they've had against one another, and then, you know, the ones with Bianca involved. I mean, that triple threat match between her and EO and Bianca, possibly the best women's match of all time. Then you see the one-on-one match at was it Evolution?
Evolution 2, yeah, that was match of the year for me.
Between Rhea and EO was fucking amazing. So, I mean, this is obviously, even though they work great together as a team, I think they work even better as opponents in a rivalry. And I think that's what a lot of fans have been wanting to see again, is when are we going to get to see Rhea and EO against one another again? Because, as you know, Rhea has never beat EO as of yet. So that also kind of like brings more to the idea that Rhea should turn heel, because she needs that win against EO. So, and what this would do would, I think, elevate EO even more as a face, as a baby face, and they're possibly their top baby face heel, because as of right now, Rhea is looked at as the top baby face heel in WWE, I think. You know, as far as like, you know, popularity goes. But I think, you know, Triple H has a lot of faith. He you know, everybody loves EO, and I think it would be good to see her as the baby face going to the, because all these matches that Rhea and Io have had so far, they're both baby faces. But I feel like, the stuff with Io and Asuka probably needs to happen first. Um, and that they need to finish that out before they kind of move on with that. But still, I can see that happening. I can see that, Io gets involved somehow, and it's kind of a slow burn after that. Where we get Rhea, kind of transitioning back into a heel state. Um, I could also see, I know it's weird to bring this up during this feud, but like I could see Damian Priest eventually turning heel on R-Truth, and Damian and Rhea kind of do something again. Um, as heels. So, but not to get too far off the beaten path with all that. But yeah, I definitely think Jade wins this match at Mania. And I think it has to do with Io. I think Io costs not intentionally, but just by accident costs Rhea the championship. And then just from there, we'll get that kind of slow burn into Rhea transition into a heel again.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. Yeah, and just jumping on that too. Like if Rhea were to win, in theory, she moves to SmackDown, right? Unless they move the other title to SmackDown and put, because like I also can't see Rhea moving from Raw. I feel like Netflix Raw, like Rhea
But
Ripley should be on that show. I don't know.
does it really matter at this point? Because they just kind of
Probably
put
not.
anybody. It's like, hey, you're going to be on SmackDown. You're a Raw person, but you're going to be on SmackDown this week. I mean, they could really just do whatever they want at this
Yeah,
point.
that's true.
I just, that's another thing. That's a whole another conversation in itself. Like why I think the whole brand split is ridiculous and doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't now. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see if that is the route that they go with Rhea and Io after, because I don't see this feud going any longer between Jade and Rhea. So
No,
I
definitely not.
think Rhea definitely has to transition to something right after Mania ends. But yeah, it's going to be interesting either way, I think.
Same. Yeah.
But then that brings me to the next match, and so I'm super stoked for this match just because Dirty Dom is probably my favorite in all of WWE right now. I just think that he is just what he does. His heel work is top notch. It's that chicken shit heel stuff. It's the kind of heels that I enjoyed as a kid. Loving when I grew up loving wrestling, I love those classic old school chicken shit heels, and it just there's a lot of like Eddie Guerrero stuff inspired in Dom's character
Totally.
too. So love that about him. I'm love that he has such a there's no championship involved here between him and Finn Balor, and it's one of like the top matches on the entire card. As far as I mean, I don't know if this is where they'll have it when the actual night comes on night 2. But I mean, the way they've got it placed is that this is like the match before the main event on Mania Night 2, and I love that. And there's the aspect of the history where Dirty Dom first turned heel, joined the Judgment Day, and like Finn Balor was seen as like this mentor for a couple of years, but when Dom won like the Intercontinental title by pinning Finn, by the way, in that Fatal 4-Way at Mania last year, and then winning the AAA Mega Championship. He just he just kind of assumed that he was the leader of Judgment Day at this point, and it just kind of began this stuff between him and Finn, and like Finn brings in Roxanne as kind of a ploy to kind of get Dom in trouble because Liv was gone. He's going and there's kind of like romance like sparking between Roxanne and Dom, and I just I enjoyed all that because in the background you see in all those segments Finn, he's like smiling, his eyes are real big, like he's loving it. And so it's funny, like they did all that, so long ago, starting so long ago, and it's like they've just been building this feud like long term for so long, until they finally kind of like pushed Finn back into the main event picture earlier this year when he challenged Punk a couple times because they you would see those segments before that because Finn he wasn't able to get a spot in the Royal Rumble after he lost that first match against Punk in Ireland. So then he just attacks Punk and they have that second match elimination chamber. But before all that, you would see these backstage segments with Finn and the Judgment Day and Dom had all this success. He had 2 belts, and they were just like, "Oh, you'll get gold sometime," Finn, because I think because they had like the tag titles at one point and stuff too, and it was Finn and JD, and just then they ended up losing those, and it just felt there for a while. It was a slow burn, and the Finn was eventually going to become a face again. And I thought it was 100% going to happen right at the time when he was doing the matches with Punk early in the year. But I knew it had to come at some point, and it's just interesting, to know again, like I did earlier, that Roxanne was not there when they turned on Finn. So I don't know if what's going to come of that. I feel like Roxanne's going to end up probably turning face as well. Either her or Liv one. Like I don't know how they're going to do all that when it comes to that, but with this match, it's cool to see that they're finally bringing the Demon back now, and I'm super excited. Not just because I think that's a cool character, but I'm like very invested in how like Dom is going to react when Finn makes his entrance at Mania, like what kind of facial expressions he's going to have. That's what I love about it. The way he portrays that character is genius in my eyes, and just but again, I'm a huge Eddie Guerrero fan, so so I really see a lot of Eddie in Dom, and just I mean, that was kind of built from the get go with his character, with Dom's character, because of just the history with the Ray and stuff, the ladder match, the custody for Dominic all those years ago. So I mean, but he's really, he's really impressed. When Dominic first came into WWE and he was teaming with Ray, so I was like, oh god, this is never gonna work. Like they're never gonna do anything with because he's horrible. The character's horrible. But the whole dirty Dom persona, everything, like, he supposedly went to jail and all this shit and stuff. And it's hilarious. Like, I find, there's so much humor in his, and that's another big thing I love about wrestling, because humor can be involved from time to time, and I love the humor with Dom's character, and I just think like the stuff that whatever they do in this match is going to be entertaining, beyond belief. But what's your thoughts on all this, John?
I'm very excited to see the Demon back as well. I think it's been quite some time since
3 years now, I think.
Yeah, and I think that Finn really needs a big WrestleMania win, and I feel like this has really earned the WrestleMania. Like, it's been built for years.
Yeah.
And last year, like you said, Dom pinned Finn to win the IC title, so I feel like the favors will be returned here, and Finn will finally, get a big WrestleMania, a big match win. I agree with you. I think Dominic is just electric. He's so fun, and the opposite, right? When I'm in SummerSlam in New York, New Jersey, he was easily the most over guy on the show. Like, it was incredible how
he should be, man. Like, he's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm like, wow, like, this is truly incredible stuff to see, and I'm happy for him. And I think he's great playing the character. And I agree with you. The facial expressions, the fear of the Demon will be great. It's weird. Despite being a match that's been built for so long, this could easily be a squash. Like, I don't think it's too crazy.
I hope not.
I don't know if that will happen, but like, I could see it just being like, no. Like, he runs away and Finn just kills him, and then coup de grace 1, 2, 3. I mean, that's possible. I don't know if that'll happen, but I definitely think Finn Balor is going over here, and I think Finn's going to look strong, and I think it'll be a nice kind of crescendo to a really good long-term story. This is something that WWE doesn't really do this anymore. These long-term stories, right? Usually it's 2-3 months. We're in, we're out. We don't have enough time to get invested, but we don't have any time to tell a great story. So this was one where I do think it feels like a WrestleMania match. I'm excited for Finn Balor. I'm excited. I think this is going to be really exciting. I agree with you. This might be a good semi-main. Like I might put this on before the main event. I don't think it would be a bad spot for it.
I think they should, because just the whole demon thing, like that's something a lot of fans that love that character or anticipate. So it feels like, and just the long term build
Yeah.
on this feud too. It deserves that spot. And then, you mentioned something that I didn't really consider, but you could be right actually about the squash match thing, because with the character, as the demon Finn Balor, like he's supposed to be like a more overpowered
Yes.
type of character, like a final boss almost like character. So really, how is Dominic gonna get offense in against the demon? You know what I mean? Like if you look at it story wise, what's your thoughts on it, Mark?
I mean, I love both guys in the match. I'm always been into the stuff they've been doing with Dominic. I thought it was the greatest like character progression that they've done in years for anybody when he turned heel, and just the way they did everything. I was in my head, I was like, it should happen this way. And pretty much everything I thought of, they did, and they've just been booking him very, very well. And he's doing great with it. He's character work. I mean, in ring, you name it, like, having the heat with the fans, he's got it all. So I love all that. But I do love the demon character. I love Finn, but I always think about that loss, and I don't care what anybody says. I mean, to me, it's always going to bother me that he lost to Roman. That should have just been a one-on-one match. He didn't need to be the demon. The last time we saw the demon, he got beat.
That's true.
For years, I've thought about that. Like, I'm like, man, like he probably should just not bring it back, even though there's a part of me that would want to see it again. I guess this is like the perfect time to do it.
Was that the last time he did the demon was against Roman?
When he lost to Roman.
For some reason, I was thinking it was when he had the match with Edge at Mania that year.
Which he for some reason lost that match too, like the Hell in a Cell with Edge, which was still don't understand why. Like he's got to win this match. Like
he's got to win. I agree. It has to happen. He has to win. I could see it being pretty quick, although I could see it going the other way and Dom cheating at every turn so that he can overcome the demon and win. I mean, if I'm booking it, that's what I'm doing. I'm having every opportunity. If the ref looks at the smallest thing on the mat and he's not looking in their direction, Dom's cheating. That's, for me, that's how I'm booking it.
That would be the most entertaining way to book it. And also you could get everyone in the Judgment Day involved that obviously turned on Finn. Like, the referee's distracted, then Finn dives and takes out
That's
JD.
the only thing. That's the only way that I don't see this being a squash match and Dom gets any kind of offense is that he has to have help.
Which I'm fine with. I think that's the way they should go.
Which, Raquel could get involved, JD could get involved, just I don't know if Liv will get all of them will get involved or not, but like I could definitely see JD and Raquel, just because Raquel needs to do something, right? On WrestleMania, because she's not going to match. She's not been heavily involved in any kind of like stories recently. So I would think like that's the only way they would get them involved is by helping Dom, because it just based on the story, and that character, just there's no way that he stands a chance,
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
that's
constant referee distractions, and Dom is cheating with everything. But no matter what he hits him with, ring bell, title, whatever, the demon doesn't sell it. Like he and Dom's just flabbergasted. That's kind of the way I see it going. He's like, what do I have to do to beat him? But of course, Demon's got to go over.
That would be the best way to tell the story. I hope you end up being right. I think that would be amazing.
I just wish that the AAA title was on the line, honestly. If they were to book Finn to win this, which I think they will, and that's why there's no title. But I think it would be more interesting if that, because I would love to see Finn actually work some AAA shows. He's done a few where they brought he had like the little puppet at one match. It was when it was Mr. Iguana was in the match. And Mr. Iguana has like the little like iguana puppet or whatever. So
Mhm.
Finn had like the demon puppet. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
No.
So and but I mean, other than that, I mean that's just silliness. But the matches that he had in AAA was great, and I would love to see him work more in those type of shows because I don't know if you guys follow the AAA shows like I do, but they I think Undertaker is the one that's booking those shows, and they've been really good here recently. Like they just had one the other night where Penta actually defended the Intercontinental title against Vikingo. It was a fantastic match, and I honestly thought Vikingo was going to win the title, and they were going to like add him to that ladder match at Mania, but which I mean would still be cool if they did that, but I don't see it doing it at this point. But anyway, but yeah, I think it would have been cool to see at least Dom have to put up the AAA title in this match because it would also give exposure to AAA in that sense too, and say, oh, this AAA title is on the line at a WrestleMania. Um, but it is what it is, and I still am super excited for this match. Uh, I think in the long run, despite whatever happens in the match, my choice is that Finn goes over. Just and you kind of like helped me decide on that, Mark, by what you were saying about like how like the last couple of times we've seen the demon the demons not went over. So, and I think that's why they've kept that character, that persona off of TV so long to kind of like, so that way, if they bring it back like they are now, they can kind of get it back to where it once was when it began in WWE and just kind of be like this kind of unstoppable, like special thing that Finn only does every once in a while. But at the same time, though, I'm also like, does that mean that the demon will have to win every match that it's that that Finn is the demon in? Because I I don't like that idea. Um, so it was interesting to see that he did lose against Roman. He did lose against Edge as the demon. So it showed that the demon was not unstoppable. But but in this with this match, specifically though, I think he needs to get the win though, just to kind of establish that character once again if he's going to use it more in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the Edge match, but which one came first? I think the Roman match came first, right?
That's what I can't remember. I can't remember if the match with Roman was the last one he had as a demon or if it was the one with Edge. I
I
was
thought it was the
thinking
one with Edge.
I did too because I loved Edge's entrance at that WrestleMania coming out to fucking South of Heaven by Slayer.
Hmm.
Oh, it was awesome. I'm hoping we see something like that. I know we haven't really talked about that with any of these matches, but I'd like to see some really cool entrances, similar to that this year, at Mania. For some reason, I'm the type of person that always enjoys when they have like a live band play some of the wrestlers, like when they did, of course, Triple H with Motorhead, and then they did, Living Color with CM Punk, which was
Yeah.
last year. Um, and I'll talk more about that here in just a minute once we get to that. So I guess we can go ahead and jump into that since we, unless you guys have anything else to say about Finn and Dom.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. So the main event, not to, and this is probably my number one match that I'm excited for. And in the beginning, I didn't think I was, but once Punk hit that pipe bomb a couple weeks ago, I'm like, all right, I'm ready for this fucking match to happen. This is gonna be the shit. And so we have the WWE World Heavyweight Championship between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Um, so like I said, in when they began this, feud after Roman had won the Royal Rumble, which this feud between him and Punk has been kind of ongoing for a
Right.
while since Punk returned back in 2023. They would kind of be forced to work together at War Games, Survivor Series in 2024, and there was like some tension there because Punk when he enters, he like blows by Roman, like pushes him out of the way, and comes out of the shark cage into the match. Um, and then so there's definitely some tension there and all that, and then later going into the triple threat with last year at Mania with Punk and Roman and Seth Rollins, and then the whole favor stuff with Paul Heyman. Um, and then of course, Paul Heyman betraying both Punk and Roman in that match, which would kind of lead later in the year to Punk and Roman teaming up again for Survivor Series again in War Games, because they kind of had this common enemy, in Paul Heyman. But beyond that, we didn't really know what was going to come next, because when Roman returned at that time, he was just kind of setting his eyes on championship gold again. But at the time, Cody Rhodes was the champion, and CM Punk was also a champion. So we didn't really know who's Roman going to face here. I think with the interaction between Cody and Roman at the end of that War Games match last year, I think a lot of people expected to see Cody and Roman 3 at WrestleMania this year, but I'm really glad that they went the other direction. Instead, him choosing Punk after he won the Royal Rumble. I just think, it makes for a more interesting story at, currently, because I mean, how many people really wanted to see, that soon, Cody and Roman again at WrestleMania?
I didn't.
I just that's something that I wasn't interested in seeing, especially this. I mean, later down the road, maybe at some point, but I just think it's too close to WrestleMania 39, WrestleMania 40, for them to do that again just 2 years after WrestleMania 40. But like I said, I'm really glad that they went in that direction. But when they started doing the stuff between Punk and Roman after Royal Rumble, it was kind of weird, honestly, at first. I mean, I really liked each of their promos, but it got weird for me when they started involving the Usos.
Yeah.
Um, because, and I think a lot of people were were anticipating that oh, they're going to get the bloodline back together, and I mean, and I can see how that would be okay in a way, but at the same time, I don't really want to see the bloodline again together. Especially with if Roman's going to still be a part timer, or we're just going to go back to that same shit that we just did a few years ago, which it was. I'm not discrediting that. I mean, that all of it was great, but I mean, if like I said, if he's going to be a part timer again, like, do we really want to see that again? If it's just, he just, the bloodline, but Roman's only showing up here and there, sporadically. I'm not for that. So,
Me neither.
they just, with the Uso stuff, and I get like, it's cause like the insult to Roman's dad, because Punk said he was going to like bury him next to his father and all this stuff. And then like, Jay was like this hothead and everything, and they ran with that for a few weeks. But then they just kind of dropped the Usos out of it and just focused back on Punk and Roman again. But that's when it started getting good, when they left the Usos out of it completely beyond that. But I don't know. I still have this feeling that they're going to get involved somehow during that match. I would hope not, but I mean, I don't know. Something tells me that there's that. And then what's interesting though is also the stuff with Pat McAfee. There's a possibility that Pat McAfee could get involved in this match somehow, or he could him and Orton both. I've also made the suggestion to you. I was talking to you about this the other day, John, about that. This could be all just a big twist that Punk and McAfee planned this, and they're in on this together, and they turn Punk heel.
Could
And
you imagine the internet response if they did if the show ends with
be
Pat
insane.
McAfee and CM Punk?
It'd be
Like-
insane. But one of my biggest things that gets me really excited about this match is something I seen. It was an Instagram post from CM Punk where he's wearing it's in front, and it's a picture of him standing in front of the stadium where they're going to be having WrestleMania at this year, and it's he's wearing like the black and white, classic ROH jacket that he wore in his Ring of Honor run. Um, and in the picture it has lyrics from the AFI Missouri Kinter music.
Oh,
Mhm.
When and anybody that knows me well, AFI is my favorite band. So, and I love that that Punk at one point used that entrance music. He even did it, in his match against MJF and AEW that one time. Dude, if they somehow, I don't care if it's just like how they did like last year, like the pre-match promo where they put this fire burns over the Punk promo. Even if they do that this year, like, and it's not part of his actual entrance, I will lose my fucking mind because
you just ascend to heaven. Like, all right,
yeah, but that's one of the biggest reasons I'm anticipating that. But what really sent me over was that pipe bomb. Though. I mean, that was when I was watching that live. I was like, holy shit! I was like, and I think I made a post on Facebook about it saying, like, it's moments like that is really what makes me love professional wrestling. And you can take. I mean, they could have been doing it. It could have been the dumbest like storyline ever was, and then that happened. I would be 100% invested regardless. But just I was already excited before that. But once he did that pipe bomb, everything that he's put into that, especially I mean, and I'll be real with you guys. The thing, and I think it hit for a lot of people was the lower the ticket prices line, because I've kind of like come to this realization a while back that as much as I love wrestling, as much as I love the WWE, realistically, I don't think I'll ever be able to afford to attend another WWE event just based off their pricing. So because like I'm not the richest guy in the world or anything, and like I'm not able to I can't justify even paying fucking $200 for nosebleeds. I mean,
no,
I just can't do that. So when he said that, and I'm thinking, holy shit, are they actually considering of lowering the prices on tickets again? Because it seems like that's what they're, they're doing at this point. They're going to do at this point. I mean, because WrestleMania, if you're having trouble with your ticket sales for your biggest event of the year, what's it going to be like going forward, for the rest of your events? So that was the line that really hit me. And I was like, fuck yeah. I'm like, finally, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to attend another WWE event at some point if they, stop, putting out these ridiculous pricing. And, it's funny before all of that happened with the pipe bomb stuff. And and he mentioned that I think it was like a week or two before that, Cody Rhodes, uh, something he said, like I don't know if it's like an interview or what, but I remember seeing it online because they are the ticket prices for his bus tour at WrestleMania is $10,000 each. And he made this comment is like those prices are ridiculous. So I think this has kind of been, a long time coming that, that not just the fans are finding these prices ridiculous, but their own talent are finding these prices ridiculous. Um, and not to get too much into that, but just like that really stood out to me more than anything else he said in that entire promo. And it just because it felt like, and you heard the reaction from the crowd when he said that. And it felt like, oh, this is some taboo shit, like, I can't believe that they're actually letting him talk about this stuff. And then even just the reference, there were references to Chris Benoit in that
I picked up
promo.
on that. Yeah.
There were references to Vince McMahon, of course. And then, I gotta say, like the stuff with the mention of the Rock. So I'll before I let you go, John. I'll ask you this question to both you guys. What's the deal with that? What do you think's going into this match? Do you think The Rock is going to be involved in this in any capacity?
That's
Marq,
what
you look like you want to take it. You go ahead, Marq.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. I mean, because this isn't the first time he's referenced The Rock. I mean, it's not necessarily like within like the past few weeks, but even before, like way back, like he's brought up The Rock quite a few times actually. So with the whole thing of Roman saying, calling all Samoans, everybody come deal with this
That's
problem
right.
kind of
You
thing.
did
It's
say
like
that.
they're throwing things out there and it makes me want to believe that they're setting up something with The Rock, but with the way ticket sales are going, would you want to promote that he's going to show up so you can get those extra ticket buys, or do you actually save him for the end and have it be the big surprise? Because if it is the ending where he pops up, I'd say he turn on Roman, rock bottom
Mhm.
Roman, lay him out, and Punk gets the win. Then he cuts a mini promo after, not to take too much away from like Punk's victory or whatever. He says something like, Punk was right this whole time. You couldn't even beat Cody. I shouldn't have bet on you. You couldn't be the head of the table, blah, blah, blah. And that sets up the match for next year in the Saudi Mania. That's what I'm thinking. Like, because what is the Saudi prince or king or whatever it is? Doesn't he always want like, one of the Attitude Era people or stuff like that? So there you go. I mean, it kind of writes itself. They've been wanting to do Rock Roman. I'm not that into the idea of them doing that, but I could totally see it going in that direction. That's just the way it's seeming that it may go. There's always that chance where they could do that, at least on the back end of the show.
Yeah. I like it's weird, man. I'll be the odd man out, and like since Punk has returned, and I've discussed this when me and Crater did the how I got into wrestling thing. Like Punk is the reason I became a fan of pro wrestling. Like he was a big role model for me growing up, and I'll be honest, since returning, it doesn't feel the same to me. I feel like he's sort of lost a step or two, and I don't know. I don't get as invested with CM Punk now as I used to then. I just don't. But I will say, with all that being said, the past couple weeks, it feels like the old CM Punk. It feels like the CM Punk that I grew up watching and idolizing as a kid. The pipe bomb that Crater mentions, and also I thought this week was a great. I loved that promo of I didn't have a family like you. I wasn't born on third base with a silver spoon in my mouth. I found my family in them, and like that hit me. That line hit me. I'm like, yeah, like that. You were my guy. Like you, no, I don't want the family word, but yeah, that was the person I went to the arenas with signs for. That was the person I believed in, and like that line really hit me. And I was like, you know what? Like I wasn't as invested in this, but now I have a dog in the fight. I want CM Punk to go over here. And like, I do acknowledge Roman. I think he's tremendous. I think he improved a lot over the years. And I think that, despite what we say with interferences or who may or may not show up, I at the same time think you could easily just tell the story between the two of them, right? I mean, Punk wanted Cassius Ono, wanted Chris Hero, who I love. I'm a big Chris Hero fan. He wanted him over Roman Reigns. And then they said no. And then the whole thing is kind of lit into motion. Make him look strong. Like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of excited. This is a WrestleMania main event. I think they'll have a tremendous match. This, I think, is the hardest one to pick, though. Like, I really don't know. Like, I could easily see them putting it back on Roman and then, yeah, part-time champion. I don't really want that, but I could easily see them keeping it with Punk because it feels like he's earned, like, he's the guy, man. Like, we didn't accept it when the 434, right? He wasn't ever in the main event. It was, John Cena and John Laurinaitis main evented over CM Punk as the champion. Like, crazy. But
don't get me started on that.
He feels like the guy now. Like, then he was my guy, but I don't know if he was ever the corporate guy. Now he feels like the guy. I wouldn't take it off him. I think he should keep it. My prediction, Punk retains, but I'm going with my heart there as far as my pick. I don't know. I head wise, I think Roman. I do.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because I love that match. That was over the limit. Him and Daniel Bryan for the
Great
WWE.
match.
fantastic match. Love that one. And then you got this fucking terrible garbage match after the fact with Laurinaitis and Cena,
People
where they're
power.
literally dumping garbage on each other. I'm not just saying it because it's a bad match, but they're literally using garbage as a prop. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've always been a Punk guy ever since he first came in. His stint in the WWE, ECW, but even before that with the Ring of Honor stuff, his wars with Joe and all those guys, like
even the stuff in TNA that he was doing with Raven was good too.
yeah, the Raven stuff, yeah. So like it's come down to this, and like he's having his last run for sure. I think he said he's going to retire at 50. He's 47 now. He needs the singles Mania main event win, retain the world title, go on to do more programs and stories with guys that are going to be there every week. And sorry, but Roman's never there. So it's like, I don't really want to see him as champion again.
Let me
that story.
throw this out there though. Like in a world where, let's say, because before you guys were Obafemi, don't wait, and for the iron to cool off, strike while the iron's hot. Let's say in a world where Roman Reigns does win this match, and we're thinking, holy shit, 13-16, are we in for another 4-year title reign? The next night, Roman, I am the big dog. Acknowledge me. Blah blah blah. Obafemi, I challenge you. And just buries Roman Reigns. Yeah. It's a
that's what I would want. That's what I want.
I would be all for that. Yeah. But I do want Punk to win the match. But if he doesn't, that's Plan B. I hope that happens.
Yeah.
And me too. I think Punk needs this win. I think regardless of how they do it, if it's a clean win, if there's somebody gets involved, or if Punk turns heel, whatever. I think Punk needs this because, I mean, this is only Punk's second main event at WrestleMania. Last year was his first. He lost that. Are they really going to have the guy that came back, just a few years ago? This is only his second WrestleMania main event match ever. They're going to have him lose both of them.
And Roman's lost the last 2 WrestleMania matches too.
I get that, but how many main events has Roman won at WrestleMania?
Oh, tons, yeah,
exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, do they really want to do that to Punk? They really going to book him to lose this match? I mean, the only way I can see is like you guys were talking about with The Rock. Like, if the Rock does get involved, then yeah, he's going to be the one that costs Roman the match, and it's going to lead to their match next year, Mania in Saudi Arabia. Or that's the plan, that's what everybody's been saying. I mean, we don't know. You never know with the Rock's schedule. So he could be wanting to do another Moana movie or something, at around that time. But whatever. But I think that Punk, is that's ideally that's the way they should go, is to have him win this match. But I don't hate that idea, John, about the about if Roman did win and then but he's challenged the next night by Obafemi and Oba takes the title from him. So yeah, there's really a lot of different scenarios you could look at here. And back what I was saying about the the music, the AFI stuff, like you just that kind of gives it even more fuel to do that at Mania, based off what he said this past Monday about the indie stuff. That's where he gained really his fan base and his following. So what better way to pay tribute to that than using that music in some capacity at WrestleMania? Not to mention that they have it in the new video game 2K26. So it's not like that they don't have it licensed or anything.
You're talking this into existence. I want this to happen for you. So
no, I know it's like I'm just trying to please myself, but but I want it to happen so bad, just so I can just like scream and think my wife can think I'm being murdered or something. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I as far as like the match itself goes, what do you guys think? Like like in ring? Like, do you think it's going to be like an all out, like all around the type of arena type thing, or do you think it's going to be just like a traditional match? Or what do you guys? You have any like expectations for how the match itself will go though?
I think they'll tear the house down. I would have
Yeah.
no reason to not believe that. I would think just traditional match. I hope not a ton of interference, but like I don't know. That's just personal. I would rather just mano y mano. There's enough there between the two of them that nobody else needs to get involved. But it's also pro wrestling, so
It's also the Triple H Mania main event, so we
yes,
know what he likes to do in those.
Yeah, and I also wish there was some kind of stipulation surrounding it, like, so that way they could kind of go all out and use weapons or whatever, just battle around the arena. Just be
bloodline rules.
Mhm.
just not necessarily that, not where people are getting involved, but just basically just where they fueled this feuds so much with like hatred and everything, like why wouldn't they do it like the same way like they would do the Drew McIntyre Jacob Fatu match or something? You know what I mean? Um,
You'll get the hijinks. It'll be a ref bump in there somewhere,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they'll go out, and they probably won't, draw blood or anything, or maybe they could. Who knows? But I just fully expect, knowing how I know Punk and Roman, they're gonna want to have the best match possible, especially Punk. This is the guy for WWE. This is the main event of Mania, night 2. You're
mhm.
literally closing Mania, so I know he's gonna go all out, and we're gonna see some
Yeah,
really good
and
stuff.
it's funny because Punk did allude to that in that promo this past month about blood on his face and all this
Mhm.
stuff. So I mean, I think we'll definitely see some color on one of them guys in this match for sure.
Yeah.
But as much and I have to talk about that once again, just that promo from this past Monday. I really enjoyed that too. Like you said, you enjoyed it as well, John. Like, but um, it kind of took, um, you know, like I wasn't expecting that, of all for what Punk was, everything he was saying. He apologized for the stuff for, what he said about Roman's father and all this, and he was just, saying like he envied Roman, and he was like, he hated him because he wanted, what Roman had. In almost a way, it kind of felt like a tease to Punk turning heel. Like, and then, he could come back with that and just, cause what the old Ring of Honor promo from Punk, like, the about the devil and all that, and like, because, telling lies and all that. And so that's another thing. Like, it's within this feud with Roman is like, and and Punk kept saying that, tell me when I'm telling lies, tell me when I'm telling lies. So like, who's to say like he just didn't say that stuff to Roman on Raw, as a lie, just to kind of pull Roman into like, not having this expectation, that Punk is going to do anything out of left field. So there's that possibility as well, I think, but regardless of how it happens, like I said, I'm choosing Punk to win this. Uh,
Sort of like him reluctantly falling into his old heel ways because he's hit Roman with all his best shots during the match, and at the end he's like, "Well, fuck it, I'm gonna cheat just so I can get
exactly,
the victory today."
exactly, and it just goes back to like that the opening video from Raw too with Roman, where it was showing like these clips where Punk, kind of being a hypocrite, because they showed like
Mhm.
he said he doesn't surround himself with wise men or yes men, but they're showing like clips when he's with Paul Heyman or he's with the Straight Edge Society or, or the Nexus or whatever. Um, so they could be alluding to that, going back to Punk's kind of heel that he was back in 2000, what was it, um 2012, when he was with Heyman and he was during the whole 434-day reign. Now that was one of my favorite eras,
Me
honestly, of
too.
so if they could make him a heel again in WWE, I would want exactly just like that. That same type
Mhm.
of run, with him as a heel. And maybe they should, because that's not something they've really done with Punk ever, is put him as this kind of corporate guy. So that goes back to the whole Pat McAfee stuff too. Like, like, are they in this together? You know, it just goes. It is the even more of the stuff like McAfee said, like I'm giving 25% off for just night one. He said, don't worry about night two. It's ass, you know, or whatever he said, like maybe that's just a ploy to make us fans think, that, he's not involved in any way with Punk, but it's so weird though that like, they would allow Punk to say those things he said about McAfee. And then in return, what McAfee would say about Punk on SmackDown.
Yeah,
So I
it's
just feel like there's more there,
yeah, it's really weird that they're letting McAfee say all that. Like you were just saying, I was really surprised. I mean, even on SmackDown when he got up on the top rope and he's like giving everybody the finger, and I'm just like, whoa, like I mean, I guess I'll give them a E for effort, but it's still Pat McAfee at the end of the day, which is my only real major gripe with what they're doing. But who knows what it could turn into?
I just like I said, there's something that just tells me that there's something more there with that, or else they would have never alluded to it to begin with. Like, I mean, I know that they've done that in the past. WWE's done that in the past where they've like had stuff happen or someone said something and nothing comes of it. But I don't know, like it just that close to Mania, and these things are being said. I just feel like there's something more there, but I guess we'll find out this weekend, guys.
Yeah, that promo was amazing. That definitely kicked it into another gear for me.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
Real.
Yeah, he it's the kind of promo where like I wanted to text my buddy and say, hey, like I know you don't watch often, but check out this promo.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like
I loved it.
My wife, she doesn't even like really like watch wrestling anymore, and I was like talking to her about it, and I told her about like the lower the ticket prices thing, and she's like, "Yeah, for real." She's like that. She's like that shit's ridiculous. So so because the thing is, like, even though she doesn't care, about wrestling, she supports my love for it. Like she's still a fan. She's not as big of a fan now as she used to, because she loves the old stuff, like the 90s, early 2000s stuff. She loves it. But like she fully supports my love for it. And then also I have our little nephew. He's just 7 years old, and he's die hard into wrestling right now. He loves WWE. Penta's his favorite wrestler, so he's super excited to watch it with me this weekend. But yeah, man, like I think this is going to be. I think this honestly, as much as the build up to WrestleMania has not been great, I think that this has potential to be a really good WrestleMania. If you went into because I know a lot of people year after year, kind of like the Super Bowl, there's people that don't watch wrestling all year round, but they'll watch WrestleMania just because it's an event like the Super Bowl. Like, I don't follow football. I don't watch football, but I watch the Super Bowl every year. It's just kind of became a tradition for us. And I think that's the same could be said about WrestleMania. So I think, if you are just a non-fan, or even just a semi-casual fan, on paper, this card is stacked. I mean, if you look at all the the talent, all the names that are a part of WrestleMania this year, it is stacked. So I think it has potential to be a great WrestleMania. But the fan in me and what I've seen over the years, I don't want to put too much faith in that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think about that?
I don't know. Like I think the build has been really lackluster this year, but you never know. I thought the build for WrestleMania 31 was lackluster, and that ended up being a really good show. So it's one of those situations you never know until you see the finished product. But if I was going off the build, I don't think this is going to be a great WrestleMania, but we could be very well surprised. And I hope we are. That's always the hope of watching these shows year in and year out, is like, man, I went in with low expectations. They were lower than the floor, but I walked out really optimistic about pro wrestling. Like, that's what I hope happens. And my fingers are crossed for that.
Yeah, same. I think this has potential, regardless of build. There's been several manias in the past that are have like not great builds at all.
But they end up
But
being great WrestleManias.
Yep.
exactly. So um, I'm just hoping for the best. One match that I thought could have been on here, and it's not because I really, really, really want to see it or anything, or I'm super invested in the angle. It's just so that it can end finally. And Mania is the place to do it, just to end it already. El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano original. Mask
Oh,
versus mask. That can easily be added to night two. Just put it
well,
on as the
they actually
opener.
announced that match, but not for Mania. So they're doing that match on a AAA show here soon because they're.
Oh,
I don't know if did you see the video from it was just this past show that I was just talking about earlier that Penta fought Vikingo on.
I
So there was a
didn't watch it yet.
there was an interaction between both the El Grande Americanos, and like it almost felt like a shoot fight. Like it was a very intense fight. I was like, wow, that's a kind of feud we need to see on WrestleMania. But yeah, so they're doing that match at some AAA show coming up, and I think it is a mask versus mask match.
I give you a spoiler though. I'm going to come out as the third El Grande Americano. Low blow them both.
Just throw the mask on, jump the rail, and low blow.
But yeah, definitely, I see your point in that though, Mark. That is something that they could have added to. And did you think it is odd though, like that they have 7 matches on night one and 6 on night two? It feels
Yeah.
like there could have been room to put another match on there somewhere for night two,
Yeah.
unless they're just planning to use all of that time for ads and stuff during WrestleMania, which is another
Maybe.
conversation, but I don't support, but but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but do you guys have any more anything else that you wanted to say about WrestleMania before we go?
Not really. I just hope it's a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure what all they'll have Danhausen do with Cena, but
Oh, that's another we didn't talk about. Cena's hosting this thing, and what
Yeah.
kind of involvement is he going to have? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he makes an impromptu match for night two. If it's not the El Grande Americano thing, then maybe we get a Danhausen match.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Danhausen's going to be involved somehow with Mania. I don't know
Yeah.
how, but that's a good idea. I like that idea. But who would it be if they did that? Who would Danhausen fight? The
I would
Miz,
think
maybe?
I think Danhausen's just involved in the 6-man tag and like he'll make an appearance in that. I don't know if they
Oh,
do
oh, that yeah, because we
Yeah.
did talk about that. That's true. Um,
Maybe.
I don't know. They I don't know if they would or not though. I don't know if they would involve. I mean the idea is there for sure because of the stuff with speed, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, regardless of what they do, though. But guys, it's getting pretty late here where I'm at, so I just want to thank you guys for being on this roundtable and just talking WrestleMania with me. It's kind of got me hyped even more now that we've talked more about it in depth here. So I can't wait for this weekend and see how all of it turns out. But like I said, thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you to everyone that watched the show, whether it be live or if you're watching this on the replay. Thank you guys so much. And if you follow the channel, if you don't follow the channel, go ahead and subscribe now. Like this video, click that bell. Anything you do, will help me here on the channel. And if you have been following the channel for a while and you know that I do the How I Got Into Wrestling series, I have another episode tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with horror artist Dick Starr. So don't forget to watch that. Tune in for that, and it should be a really interesting conversation because I've known Dick for a good, close to 20 years now, and I know he's a huge wrestling fan. He goes to a lot of the OVW events in Louisville, Kentucky, so we'll be having a very interesting conversation tomorrow night. But just stay tuned to the channel for more things I got coming up in the next month or so. It's a lot of interesting. I'm trying to branch out more. I'm trying to do like collection videos and just like maybe do some ranking on some wrestling stuff. Just stay tuned, and you'll never know what I come up with here on the Creator Mania channel. But thank you again, guys, and we will see you next time on the Creator Mania channel. I love you guys. Have a good night.